Hello, hello. We'll wait a minute while people filter in. It's good to see people coming in. Got a new picture, new background, and I don't know, same question. I've had the same question for a while, just because I'd rather be straightforward. But, you know, I do like seeing vegans employ more, I like them using the messages that kind of trick people into talking to them, but at the same time, I'd rather talk to people that are already open to considering animals. So I'm not really going to waste my time with people today. I'm going to try to move along if someone's going to be a troll. But I genuinely want to know what justifies you using animals. Why aren't you vegan yet? You know? Animals are someone. There's a being inside their body experiencing the world. So what justifies you crossing their bodily autonomy and using them for your benefit, especially when it doesn't benefit them in any way? You know, what morally justifies you bringing someone into existence to use them for your purpose? So I'm here to ask, in your moral framework, how do you justify your actions? And you got to be 18 or older to come on up. And yeah, I'm just interested to hear what you guys think. Yeah, there's a lot of plants that taste good. You can eat plants. Nobody is here for our purpose. They're just here with us. We've evolved alongside of them. Doesn't matter what our ancestors did. Today we can thrive on plant-based diets. So what's the purpose of putting someone through the scariest moment that we wouldn't even tolerate being put through? Survival of the fittest is basically might makes right, and again, we agree that's immoral. You wouldn't appreciate someone bigger and stronger than you enslaving you just because they can't. Fish have emotions. They are sentient. They have friends. They have preferences. They're sentient. Yeah, of course I want to be vegan. That's the whole point, is that I don't want to pay someone to exploit animals on my behalf. Yes, animals eat other animals. So humans are called moral agents. We can weigh out what's right and wrong. That's part of our intellect, right? We have individuals, a part of our society, that can't weigh out what's right and wrong. We still protect them. They're called moral patients. They still deserve moral consideration, even though they can't reciprocate morals. So ChatGPT is listed because it's a great resource to talk to about nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist, and it's going to be able to search the internet for you. So that's why I suggest ChatGPT. You can also talk to it about veganism. So you can do better. If you're consuming animals, you should do better. Yeah, so you're telling me to let others live, but you're not letting the animals live. So that's why I'm here. Well, human flesh tastes like bacon. Are you going to now say it's morally acceptable to take human lives because they taste good? Yes, morals are subjective. This question is asking from your moral framework. I mean someone in any animal. I don't care what your religion is. What if my religion said that I can take the babies that I bore and eat them? Would that be moral just because it's in my religion? No, would not be. I just eat vegan stuff during Thanksgiving. I eat vegan stuff all the time. Just whatever you want, as long as it doesn't have a sentient being involved. That's it. I didn't say my morals. I'm asking from your moral perspective. Do you think it's moral to use someone that cannot consent to their treatment? Would you accept the treatment that animals receive? What if you were not as intelligent and maybe you were missing a limb or you couldn't stand upright? Would that be okay then to exploit you? So as far as land goes, a vegan world would use way less land, 75% less of our agricultural land. It's much more sustainable than using animals. We could feed our population and then some. Right now we have people starving. All right, I'm going to skip to the bottom. There's too many comments. I'm sorry, guys. You guys are going too fast. Plants are not sentient. No, we force animals to breed. They wouldn't overpopulate. If anything, they're actually decreasing the biodiversity because we have to wipe out land to grow their food. Lions are not moral agents. You are. It doesn't matter what they would do. We're moral agents. They're moral patients. We have a responsibility with the knowledge and technology we have to take care of those that we can. And just the bare minimum is to just not cause someone harm when it's unnecessary. Okay, we're skipping to the bottom again. I'm going to pull up the Pirate Blackbeard, but you got to be over 18. If you're not, I will kick you. And I need you to give me a second since you're my first guest. I want to make sure my volume is up. Okay. Hey, Pirate, how old are you?
Meat tastes yummy.
Yeah, well, you need to go grow up. All right. ... Just let me know how old you are.
I love eating meat.
Oh, well, I'm glad you came out on my channel. I'm very honored. All right. Fenris? How old are you, Fenris?
49.
Right on. It's good to hear from an adult. All right. So, why aren't you vegan yet?
Not vegan because as a nurse, I'm aware that there are a lot of vitamins and minerals that need to be supplied to humans, and the easiest way to find those are in lean red meats.
Okay.
That's just science. Now, that being said, I have no problem.
Okay, you can stop for a second. So, actually, you don't need anything from animal products. You can get everything from plants. I have resources above here. And I'm sorry, a nurse is not a dietitian or a nutritionist. So I understand that you have medical background, but that still doesn't give you the credibility for nutrition. So I've got dietitians here, Challenge 22. You can go talk to an actual dietitian that's been trained in nutrition. ChatGPT, if you want to ask it questions. Can I get all my nutrients on a vegan diet? Nutritionfacts.org shows you the science, breaks down the studies. You can watch that, either go to the website or just look them up on YouTube. Cronometer, type in the foods that you eat, you can see the mineral intakes of them. So I don't really want to talk about diet. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says that a vegan diet is safe and healthy for all stages of life and possibly even preventative to our main diseases. So let's move on from that and talk about the morality of using someone for your benefit when you don't have to. Fenris, you're muted. I'll give you another minute to unmute yourself. It's in the corner, little microphone. Okay. Oh, you're back. So, what morally justifies you using someone that cannot consent to their treatment?
First, I need to speak to your ignorance.
No, I don't want to hear about it.
I know you don't, but registered nurse.
Okay. You have a great day. Edby? How do you pronounce your name?
Edby, yes. Hello.
Edby. Beautiful. Hi. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Perfect. So, why aren't you vegan?
Well, because my family has genetically eaten meat in the past in their, like, as the majority of their meal type. And so we actually genetically are inclined to consume meat. So, for example,
again,
my grandma,
were you hearing just a second ago? So again, humans can thrive on a plant-based diet. I don't want to hear about your grandma. What is your justification for using animals when you don't have to? If you're worried about nutrition, go check out these resources before you come up here, okay? You don't actually know what's good for you then. I have the Dailey Dozen from nutritionfacts.org, gets you all your nutrition. So I don't want to talk about nutrition. I want to talk the morality of using someone. Let's say humans were the only edible flesh we had. Would you be okay with taking human flesh to get your vitamins? Edby, you're muted.
So you actually muted me, and that is an extremely
I did mute you.
improper
Yes, I did
way
do
to
that.
debate.
Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to answer my question. If you continue to complain, I'm just going to kick you and move on. So, what justifies you using animals when you don't need to?
I would actually like to debate, and so the fact that you are taking out the nutritional morale.
Okay. You have a great day. I did mute him. I want you guys to know that if you continue to talk about nutrition, I'm just going to kick you. I have evidence right here. I don't want to even talk about it. You don't know your nutrition if you're coming up here and telling me you can't be vegan. Go check out those resources. Me, I'm not a nutritionist, right? I can't give you actual advice. Be an adult. Go take care of yourself. Look up how to eat. I guarantee most of you do not know how to get your adequate nutrition. I'm almost sure most of you crying about protein don't even know how much protein you need in a day. I doubt you even know how much protein you get right now. So I just don't want to hear about it. You guys are disingenuous with that argument. All right. Sigbud. Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, you're a bitch.
Well, thank you. Renwood. Hey, how old are you?
Who, me?
Well, yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I came up, it was kind of blurry.
Okay. I don't really care to waste time with you guys. I see you, Miss Katie. I'm gonna just keep just myself up for now, but I'll bring up vegans later in the live. Renwood.
I'm 27 now. Why do you come?
Okay. Eco. Okay. Emergency mullet. Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, 36.
Right on. Why aren't you vegan yet?
I just don't want to be. I enjoy eating meat.
So, do you agree that animals feel pain?
I do.
Do you think that they're sentient? They're having a subjective experience of the world? Making preferences?
That I don't have an honest answer for.
Okay, that's fine. I would suggest going and looking that up. It has been, I mean, don't take my word for it, but it has been shown that animals are sentient. They have a brain and a central nervous system. They have nociceptors, which are the pain receptor that we have that tells us that we're in pain. So they've shown that animals are sentient. We can also just watch them, their behaviors. If you kick a dog, they recoil. They remember that. Most animals do. So if we can agree that they're sentient and they feel pain, they're making preferences, do you agree that you can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet?
I will say yes and no, because I have friends who are vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, so you agree that
that
humans in general can thrive on a plant-based diet?
I don't know if I would necessarily say thrive.
Do you know what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is?
Sounds familiar.
So they're the largest body of diet professionals, and they influence governments on how to make their food pyramids or whatever, their food breakdowns. They've actually all come together. These are scientists about diet. You got music going.
Yeah, sorry,
They've all come
I got a
together.
notification.
Gotcha. So they've all come together to agree that a vegan diet is safe and healthy for all stages of life, including pregnancy, nursing, infancy, old age, even athletes. So if we can all agree that a vegan diet is safe for all stages of life, then there's no point in putting animals through this. Hey Finn, are you over 18?
Yeah.
How old are you? Okay. Michael.
Hello?
Hey, Michael, you over 18?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so why aren't you vegan?
Well, I actually want to ask you a question. Do you not think
Well,
plants are
first answer my
sentient as
question.
well?
I don't. Why aren't you vegan?
I'm vegan because meat is healthy to my body as well as
Okay, what if
plants. But
do you agree that, well, first I'll start off with the diet thing again. Do you think there's something you can only get from animals that you can't get from plants?
no,
Okay, so then you can thrive on a plant-based diet.
you can thrive on both. That's what we're
Right,
made for.
so
We're
one has
omnivores.
a victim though, right? Do you
They're
agree
both
that animals are
victims. They're both
Do you
victims.
agree?
Plants are alive as well.
Stop. Do you agree that animals are
But you don't
sentient?
want to debate
Do you agree that animals are sentient?
as well as plants, yes.
Plants are not sentient. Do you know what
Plants are
sentience
alive.
means?
They have
Yes,
nervous
they're alive.
systems.
Sentience and living are not the
They
same
feel
thing.
pain.
No,
Yes.
they don't. No, they do not. They do
They
not have
adapt
a
to the
brain.
world.
They do not have a brain or a central nervous system. They don't have nociceptors. They do transfer signals. They can communicate. That doesn't mean that they're sentient, though. My phone communicates. Solar panels communicate. Do you see what I'm saying? Plants are not sentient. Animals are. You're muted. And yes, I was the one that muted you, in case anybody's curious. Michael, you're muted. I'll give you another second. So plants are not sentient. Animals are. What justifies you using animals when you're not even giving them a choice? What justifies you using them?
That could be said as well for plants. What could be justified in using
Michael,
plants?
I'm not going to have this disingenuous argument with you. Do you genuinely believe that plants are sentient? Do you walk on grass and think, "Oh my God, I'm walking on a sentient being"? Because I don't think that you do. I don't think you think another thought if you pick a flower, eat a fruit. I think you're lying. I don't think you're being honest. I think you know that if I was to kick a dog, that's immoral. And if I was to kick a tree, that doesn't matter. So what justifies you using animals? I muted you again. All right, well, Michael, I'm sorry. You have a great day. I'm sorry, Miss Kay. I'm going to bring Lydia up just because she's a great debate partner. Hey, Lydia, how you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Oh, annoying. I'm really trying to not talk about diet. And my God, people they just really want to talk about diet, even though we have the evidence. Like, there's no reason to even talk about it. I'm not the scientist. Go talk to the scientists that say it's healthy, you know?
Yeah, we're trying to talk about ethics, guys. So even if, like, for an example, eating a dog was healthy for our bodies, it's still immoral to do if we don't have to, if we have other options. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Julian.
So, what are plants? No.
Hey, how old are you?
I'm 24
All right, right on. Why aren't you vegan yet?
because I don't think it's morally necessary.
Do you agree that animals are sentient?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that they feel pain, they're making preferences, they like to feel comfortable, they don't like to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what justifies you causing them discomfort, taking their lives, or using them when you don't have to?
Because it's just the system that we're in, and it's not like people say we can survive off both, and that's what we've evolved for. And it's not feasible right now
but
for
there's
everyone.
a victim.
Because of what?
Oh, there's a victim though. Like slavery. It brought a lot of benefit to poor people that weren't enslaved, right? Brought down the price of goods, made labor really cheap, but it's still immoral.
But I think plants are alive as well, so I would say that plants can be a victim as well, because plants are alive.
They are alive, but they are not sentient.
But does it mean they can't be a victim?
They are alive, but they are not sentient.
But does it mean they can't be a victim? They want to live.
Yeah, that means they cannot be A victim. That is correct.
How could they not be a victim just because they can't
They're not sentient.
because they can't tell
Because
it
they
to
don't-
you in the language you don't
Because they
understand?
can't suffer. They can't.
Okay.
They don't feel. Go ahead, Lydia.
Julian, I would like to say, so if you do believe plants are sentient and they're capable of perception very similar to animals and humans, that's
It's like a plant specific way of
okay, but
perception.
just listen to me. We can know for a fact that it takes far more plants to grow animals for us to consume than it does just eat plant-based. So if you want to be a plants rights activist, you're still going to be going towards a plant-based diet.
But still, it doesn't mean we have to necessarily eat one or the other.
So
It doesn't
did you
mean
hear
that-
her point? Did you hear
Yes,
her
I heard
point?
it, but that doesn't
Okay, so
mean
you're advocating for plant sentience, which means we should morally consider plants, but you're being a hypocrite because we use more plants to grow animals.
I'm saying they are both are victims. I'm not saying
I'm saying if you want to reduce the victims, you still need to be vegan, as we're subjecting so many plants to harm by feeding them to the animals. Do you understand?
But that
We would
doesn't
grow
mean people
fewer
have-
animals. We would grow fewer plants that would be abused if we all adopted a plant-based diet.
But I'm not saying that doesn't mean we have to be more.
Do you hear your argument doesn't make sense?
Why do we have to be? Why do we have to eat one way or another?
Do you agree that it is immoral for someone to just come and use your body without your consent?
A plant
that
or
immoral?
animal. For a plant or
I'm
animal, I think that's
asking,
immoral.
Julian, I'm asking about someone
I
bigger
think
and
for a
stronger
plant or
than
animal.
you. Julian, would you stop for like 2 seconds? Good God. Just listen. How would you feel if someone bigger and stronger than you came and did whatever they wanted to your body without your consent? Would you call that immoral in your moral framework? You can unmute yourself. Is that immoral?
I said yes.
Okay. So why is that immoral?
Because they're violating your rights. They're violating your independence. They're violating your right to life.
Exactly. So what is the difference then between us and the animals we use?
So what is the difference between us and the plants we eat? They wanted to live too.
Sentience. Sentience, my friend. Go look up sentience. I think you need to go better equip yourself
if you're
for this
interested-
argument.
Yeah, Julian, if you're interested in
Plants
this
are not sentient
topic,
is also debatable.
if you're interested in this topic, there's a very good study on PubMed. You can look it up now. Debunking a myth, plant consciousness. It goes over 50 years worth of data of everything that we know about plants and how their mechanisms work and everything. And it's a very good read, like if you're genuinely interested in this topic, because the plant sentience is something we hear every day, all day long. And I really just want people to go read the research for themselves.
And if you look at actual research, it's a debated topic it's a highly debated topic in science right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I'm
why
just
I'm
gonna
saying
kick you.
please go read the research, please, because it goes over all the topics that people are debating.
He's obviously just not equipped. I don't really care to hear about plant sentience. You guys are being disingenuous. Go, like she says, go read the research. If you're up here to tell me that plants are sentient, just leave now. Go look up, are plants sentient? I guarantee you're going to come back with a different perspective on life. All right. Logan, are you over 18?
Hi
Are you
there,
over
how are
18?
y'all?
Are you over 18?
I'm sorry?
Are you over 18?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, right on. Awesome. Well, welcome to the channel. Why aren't you vegan?
I guess just based off lifestyle and I guess the ability to do so.
Sure. Okay. Do you agree that animals are sentient?
Absolutely.
Okay. You can ask me a question. Go for it.
No, I was just curious. So I know, a big topic y'all have been debating is whether or not plants are sentient. And
we're not debating it. It's already been decided by science they're not sentient, so.
Well, I'm just curious because, like, I understand the research, and I've read some of the research regarding it. But to me,
and again, it doesn't even matter, Logan. It doesn't matter. We're talking about animal rights, right? And if you do care about plants, we feed more plants to animals. So that's why I just don't even care about talking about plant sentience, because if you did care about plant sentience, you would also be vegan. So it's just a nothing argument.
Well, I guess that just kind of brings me into the topic of, I care about plants. I have several degrees. Primary focusing on plants. I'm a biologist, and then got another degree in forestry. So I work.
That's great. But what about animals? Are they sentient? Do they feel pain?
Absolutely. And
can we get everything we need from plants? Do you need to eat animals?
See, that's why I want to talk and see, like, kind of what would you recommend to do if someone wanted to transition.
Oh, so the thing is, I would go to these resources because I'm not a nutritionist and I don't really want to give out food advice. I want you to do what you want to do, right? So I've got all these resources. Challenge 22 if you want to talk to a dietitian. ChatGPT if you just want to ask general questions, and it can give you resources. And then nutritionfacts.org if you don't want to talk to somebody but you want to see the science on what's healthy to eat. Nutritionfacts.org breaks down all those studies. And then Cronometer, you can type in a meal or a specific food and it'll break down the detailed mineral contents of that food so you can see if you can get everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I like plants, but like, I guess we're talking about, I agree, probably shouldn't eat meat as much as, I guess, not necessarily just the country does, but the whole world. I think it's a meat primary based diet.
Yeah, it is cultural for us to do this,
switch, yes. If we all switch, for example, to vegan, would we not, I guess, be eating more plants than what we would produce for the animals is my last question for y'all.
So we actually use like 83% of our current ag land to raise animals for their flesh and secretions and their food. So if we eliminated animal ag, we'd actually use only 25% of our ag land and still be able to feed our whole population. And then we'll have all that land to rewild. So.
Okay, I just didn't know if we all switched as a cultural thing to veganism, then would that obviously increase the amount of plant usage?
Right, it would be a supply and demand thing, but it'd be more like you're taking your demand from one thing and putting it somewhere else. So animals would be bred fewer and fewer into existence, but plant products would be going up because more people would be purchasing them.
Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate answering the questions.
Yeah. Well, I got one last thing for you, Logan. If you go watch Dominion, you'll actually learn the reasons why all of us vegans go vegan. It's free on YouTube. It's really easy watch. I would just, if you want to know why and understand what we're talking about, that's a great way to start. Maybe take a screenshot. I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Did you have any other questions?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you have a great day, Logan. I appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, definitely will. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
See, I am okay with open-minded people asking any questions, but if you're up here just defending plant sentience, I'm just going to kick you. I'm just not going to deal with it. Shahram? Hey, how old are you?
Hello, 41.
Beautiful. Why aren't you vegan?
Well, I don't know the exact reason, but I have been vegan in my life before.
What made you go vegan then?
Well, I guess it was, influence from movies and society and friends and, things like that.
Was it just for diet, just to eat healthier, or?
No, it was definitely obviously because I felt also bad. I don't believe in animal farming. It's a terrible, terrible, thing that's happening. It's horrific to see.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into the whole debate with the nutrition because you've already stated. But I do feel like I do feel better when I consume some meat. I wouldn't say I consume a lot. Yeah.
So have you ever talked to a professional about your diet?
Of course.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
but more than
I
that,
would suggest,
but
I was going to say, if you go talk to Challenge 22, they're a plant-based nutritionist dietitian group.
Right.
So they'll actually give you advice on how to get your appropriate nutrition through plants. And if you don't want to talk to a person, nutritionfacts.org has Dailey Dozen. It's just a little checklist to make sure you get everything. Because it sounds like you weren't getting all your needed nutrition.
You already said you don't really want to talk about nutrition, so I don't want to really get into it with you. But I like to think that personal experience trumps any institution that's telling you what to eat. For example, bread and grains have been at the top of the food pyramid forever, and now we know like how much damage they do to us.
Grains are fine. It's like sugars and fats that are really hurting us.
Again,
because the leading disease that's killing us is cardiovascular disease, and that's from eating cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, which comes from animals, not plants.
Because you said you don't know too much about nutrition. I don't want to get
talking
back
about
into
it. So why don't we switch to the morality then? What makes it okay for you to use animals?
Okay, well, what makes it okay for me to eat the animal that I eat is
use them in any fashion.
Okay, well, because it's feeding me and it's keeping me alive, and then I therefore can thrive and do good things in my life, hopefully.
Can someone come and do that to you?
I mean, they could if they had a knife and they could they?
Sure. Do you think it's moral, is what I'm asking you? They have alternatives
I think,
too.
like
They
I
don't
said,
have to use you,
animal farming is completely immoral.
I understand. I'm asking you a specific question.
Yeah.
Would you tolerate that treatment when that person has alternatives? They can wear, eat, whatever, something else. They don't need to use you.
Okay, I understand the argument you're getting at, but what I'm trying to push forward is that there is going to be some immorality and there is going to be some unjust things that happen in life.
You're not answering my question. Would you tolerate that? Would you accept that as moral, that treatment to your body without your consent? Is that moral?
You mean me being killed and eaten?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be killed, but once I'm killed...
Why not? Why not?
Because I'm designed to survive.
Right. So what makes you different from the animals?
Nothing.
They have the same want to live as you.
100%.
Why is it okay to take that from them? I don't care large scale, small scale, all farming. What makes it okay to do it to this individual?
Like I said before, because it makes me have a life where I can thrive and do my best thing.
So why isn't slavery legal? Why is that considered immoral right now?
Okay, so you're making the argument that humans and animals are the same.
Morally, yeah. We both want to live. We both are making preferences on our experiences. We have, this want to continue, and we want our consent considered.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the way of
So what makes you different than the animals? Why is it okay to do it to them? I haven't heard a reason yet.
It's just the way of life. There's just death and life.
But so was slavery. Slavery was here for hundreds of years, if not thousands before that.
But it's not biological.
And it was a way of living.
Okay, but it's still construed by society. It's not innate.
It doesn't matter. Okay, I'll give you another example.
You're trying to make
I'll give you another example.
I'm sorry.
I'll give you another. You're
Yes,
seriously
give me another
caught
one,
up on
a better
something.
one.
Okay, so men were able to grape their wives until the 80s. Still immoral, but that was a cultural thing that has been around since we've been existing. Still immoral.
Okay, but again, that's not like innate.
And it kept up our biodiversity, which reduced our ability to be wiped out by disease. So there were benefits to it.
Okay, here's my argument to all of this. Okay, I eat a certain amount of meat from a local farm that's close by.
I only grape a little bit. I only grape from the best places.
Yeah, I think I've been respectful.
They treat their sluts really nicely. I'm just pointing out the ridiculousness of your statements.
But maybe just wait till it's over, till you make fun of it.
I'll wait till your ridiculousness is over. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, do you know about monocropping and how it's affecting animal?
Yeah, most of it is fed to animals.
Okay, but forget about it being fed to animals. It's just.
All right. Do you want to actually have a conversation and listen to each other, or are you just going to try to make your point? Because you're not even hearing that I've already slapped down your argument. You still want to make it.
What have I said that hasn't addressed anything?
You're going
you've
to
said?
point out that crop farming is detrimental, like soy, corn, right? You're going to say those are detrimental to the environment.
You see, you're so used to what everyone's saying.
Crop deaths then.
No, it's just look. What I'm trying to say.
Give me the new argument. Give me the argument I haven't heard yet.
The new argument is that animals are dying left and right for various reasons, not just.
Oh, so it is crop deaths.
Okay, I don't know what you're getting out of this. Like what?
Honestly, nothing. I'm going to just kick you. I think
okay.
I'm done with you. I want to have conversations with genuine people. Like people just sitting there, like, what excuse can I come up with? Vegans eat crops and animals die in crops. I've got it. It's great.
Yeah, veganism isn't necessarily anti-death, guys. We're anti-exploitation. So yes, we are aware that there are some situations where animals will be harmed, like driving down the road, bugs are going to hit our windshield. But we do have points, hi Strider, that we can choose to avoid harm, like, not going to a farm and paying for babies to be unalived so we can consume them. So
exactly. Yeah, I want to have a conversation about the animals. I don't care to go into this logistics of how we're going to transition. It's like, you're an adult on TikTok for the most part. You can figure this stuff out. I did. I was in my early 20s when I realized this. I still was able to figure it out. I have trust that you guys can figure this out. You can figure out how to eat. You just need to know the animals don't need to be used.
And yes, when you go to a farm, I would like to say that most animals that are butchered are juveniles, like they are not even adults, because that's how the meat industry works. So it doesn't matter if you're buying from a factory farm or a small homestead.
Yep, exactly. They're all taken out at like a quarter or a fifth of their lifespan. All right. Josh. Are you over 18?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm 17.
How old are you? Oh, I'm sorry. I do appreciate your honesty, Josh, but I can't have you. TikTok won't let me. I do appreciate it. If you have questions, ask them. I'm pretty sure there's some vegans in the comments that would be willing to answer any questions you have. Because you should be curious about this stuff, even under 18. All right. I'll make sure. I guess I'm going to go from the top this time. Tim. Hey, Tim, are you over 18?
Hello?
Hey, are you over 18?
Can you hear me? Yeah,
I
I'm
can
19.
hear you. Okay, right on. Why aren't you vegan yet?
Alrighty. I enjoy meat, God honest reason. Do I disagree with the current meat industrial complex? Absolutely. I don't agree in large scale meat farming. I think a couple household farm animals, like a cow, a couple chickens, a couple goats, that's morally acceptable in my views. Having like tens of thousands of animals to just kill is absolutely unacceptable. Huh?
Would you accept that treatment? Would you accept that treatment? Being treated like those animals on the small farm.
Oh, but see, so the thing with that is you get into
and you might
predator.
have a bed, but they're going to take your life whenever they find convenient. And typically, like we just said, it's at a quarter of your lifespan because that's when you're the most tender. Is that okay?
So
is that morally
me personally,
to you?
I don't believe. Can you let me speak? I want to have a respectful conversation with you, and you've been interrupting the last two people.
Yeah.
I would like it if you don't do that to me. That'd be really cool.
I can't promise anything, but I will try.
All right, just try to bite your tongue. Thank you.
I'm not going to do it if you're going to talk to me like that, though. Go ahead.
Let me go. So me personally, I believe that I believe in nature. I believe humans are just as much as animals as anything else in the natural world.
Why are you in a house? Why are you on a phone?
Because we're a little bit more advanced in nature. We're still natural animals.
So you left nature.
we're still natural animals.
No, you only use nature when it's convenient for
we've
you.
advanced a little bit.
Go ahead and continue, Tim, because I still haven't heard the
Do
justification
not tell
for
me
using
how
animals. Tim, do you want to talk about animals or do you want to be kicked?
Yep, let me continue.
All right, go for it.
I would like to continue speaking. It's an explanation.
Okay, do it, or
So,
if you're going to keep
humans
complaining
are
about
just
me
as
not
much-
letting you
just
talk,
as
I'm going to
much a
kick
part
you.
of nature. Okay.
Animals
All
are
right.
just as much a
So
part of
humans
nature?
are just as much as part of nature as. Yep, they're on the same level in my mind. And there's the predator and prey scale. We are at the top of the food chain. We are the predator. We don't have a predator. And when we do have a predator, like lions or sharks, guess what they fucking do? They eat us.
So,
Because
Tim,
that's what predators do.
why
They
is
get-
human
they eat
slavery
prey.
immoral?
Human slavery is immoral because it's an act against society. It's an act against our own kind.
So if you saw someone, just one person being enslaved, you'd think, oh, this is bad for society? You wouldn't think that poor individual? You wouldn't be considerate of that person?
Yeah, that's
with the
anti-societal.
experience? No. Your concern isn't society. Your concern is the
I think on the large scale. No,
Okay, Tim, you see someone walking their
my
dog.
concerns are on
You
the
see
large scale
someone
of
walking
society.
their dog, Tim. You see someone walking their dog, and they get mad at their dog, and they kick their dog really hard. Is that moral? Is that moral?
No,
Why?
no, it's unjustified harm.
Right. I agree with you
Because
there.
it's
The animal's
unjustified harm.
experiencing- Right. It's unjustified.
harm
You're
without
absolutely right.
justification.
And that should be stopped, right? Someone who's causing unjustified harm, that should be stopped, right? Or do you think it should continue?
Killing an animal to eat and
I didn't
survive.
say killing. I said kicking them.
In the way we're naturally supposed to. Like I said, in the way we're naturally supposed to is
Tim,
acceptable.
would you rather be
Milking an
kicked
animal in the way we're
or
naturally
unalive?
supposed to.
Tim, please.
No, let me just keep talking.
Good God.
You're
Good God, dude. You don't even know how milk is made. You know, the farmer puts his arm up the cow. That's how we get milk. They put their arm up the cow's anus. They hold her cervix in place and they squirt bull semen into her vagina. Yeah. And they literally do this to make sure that it gets in there. That's how you get milk. You left the app. We can't hear you.
Tim, I would like to go back to your natural fallacy use. So you said that it's natural, or something about it's natural to have the small farms, unalive animals versus factory, even though a lot of the ways that they unalive animals are about the same. I mean, because there's only so many ways you can unalive someone for preserving their bodies from meat, basically. So I'm just curious, like, is natural fallacy, is that your justification? Because that's fallacious reasoning. And, you know, domestication of animals especially is very unnatural. I mean, our domestic animals have only been around 10,000 years out of 200,000 plus of human history. Like, it's definitely not natural, even if you wanted to entertain that.
Yeah, no, it's not. Tim, you can unmute yourself. Okay. Well, you have a great day, Tim. Okay, let's see.
But yes, guys, the majority of dairy cows do experience artificial insemination. It's a standard to learn in vet school and even in ag courses. I knew ag colleges actually that would keep living cows and then also, you know, cow replicas, and they would show the whole process at the school. So yes, that is a standard practice in the industry.
Ugh, yeah. I've actually had farmers come up here and tell me they do it out of compassion, because when they do the natural mating with the males, their males are made so big now that they actually will break the cow's back sometimes, which is
yeah, it's
so
incredibly
heartbreaking.
dangerous. Yeah, and it's also
Yeah.
incredibly dangerous because of the way genetics have been. Like sometimes the calves will actually be, I don't know, it's wild. Like the whole thing is just wild, and it's crazy how we bred them to be so extreme.
I mean, even if, let's say the bull wasn't that heavy and it wasn't all torturous and the baby was going to be fine, it's still immoral to put two people or two individuals in a pen and let the male just do what he wants to the female. We would have a word for that for humans, that's still immoral. Like, we're forcing them to come together to make babies so we can use them and their babies. It's disgusting. All right, let's bring up. I don't know what to call you, squirrel? Animals?
You call me Ashton.
What was it?
Ashton.
Ashton? Okay. Are you over 18?
Yes.
Cool. Why aren't you vegan?
I believe in conservation.
Okay. Have you ever considered other alternative methods other than taking them out?
What do you mean by that?
So there's actually things like Norvac, which is a birth control that they can put into deer, boar, a lot of these animals that are population controlled. Have you ever considered looking into something alternative instead of taking their life?
How would they put birth control on a deer, if you don't mind me asking?
They can either shoot it in them or they can tranquilize them and put it in them.
You
They
think
don't need to do surgery. Or they can put it in food.
But do you think that's like a legitimate way to do it? Like, do you know?
I don't know. Would you rather lose your life, your ability to have kids?
But I mean, do you know how many deer there are? Like, that's an impossible.
So what would happen is they wouldn't multiply, right? Because they can't have babies.
So you're saying just extinction over death?
I didn't say all of them. It would just be a way to control their population.
Well, how would you know?
It's one method. It's one method.
Which ones haven't?
So the thing is, when you say conservation, most people that are hunting for conservation are actually just hunting for the pleasure of hunting. Because you haven't even considered alternative methods. You're just doing an activity that you enjoy. But sadly, you have a victim
really.
at the end of your day.
I'm a really heavy hunter myself. I mean, I do it about every day.
Okay, so again, you're just doing it for pleasure then.
No, I do.
So what makes your actions different from Jeffrey Dahmer?
I'm not doing it to another human. I'm doing it to an animal because there's overpopulation.
Okay. What if I had a human here that had the cognition of the animals that you hunt? Is it okay that I hunt them?
They're not an animal. They're human. That's
right,
why I say
but
I believe.
What's the difference? But what's the difference?
Well, if
just
we're
our species? Like what's the difference between our species?
We're not deer.
Okay. Do deer feel pain?
Yes.
Are they sentient and making preferences?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, they feel pain, they have instinct and everything.
You can live off of plants, so you don't need to take them out.
So what if there's a lot of people on Earth that do not have access to the amount of plants that are needed to have sufficient diet?
So that means the people that do have access need to start switching so that those resources become more widely available. If you increase the demand for something, it'll increase its ability to get to everybody.
That also applies to if we don't use milk and we don't have any need for these farm animals.
We don't need milk. We don't need milk.
Exactly.
Do you understand what the cow has to go through? Do you understand what the cow has to go through for milk?
Yeah, but that means they would go extinct. If there's no need for them,
That's
they will
okay.
not survive.
They're not natural animals. We've bred them to overproduce. We've bred them to overproduce, so they can't even survive in the wild because they're wasting energy overproducing.
Right.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you're here. Okay. So you're fine with all them going extinct. Okay.
The farm animals, all domesticated animals, yes.
Okay, we can just agree to disagree on that topic. But also earlier you were talking about how you were kind of like applying humans and animals and saying they weren't really different totally.
Morally, yeah.
All right. So do you know how deer breed? Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have the right to take their life just for the pleasure of shooting them.
I'm just genuinely asking. Do you know how deer breed?
No, it doesn't matter though.
I'm just going to explain it to you because I mean, it's something that you might need to know in the upcoming debate.
I don't care how often they reproduce. I don't care.
No,
it's still not a justification.
They only reproduce once a year. They reproduce in the cold, in the winter. But the way they do
it is bucks,
they chase the does until the does literally pass out and they proceed to grape them.
Okay.
So if we're having an argument...
Lions often do a lot of the same things.
So yeah, so if you're comparing animals to humans, then why is it wrong for a human to do that and an animal not to? It's contradictory.
Go ahead, Lydia.
I was just going to say, I think you're just referring to the obvious difference that humans are moral agents and animals are moral patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference in that? How is it morally okay for an animal to do it and not morally human for a human?
So kind of like a child, if they don't really understand what they're doing, it's if we can communicate and reason with them, that's one thing, but we can't. They're moral patients, we're moral agents, so we understand moral constructs that we've built. We know how to weigh out what's right and wrong. They're moral patients. They're still sentient. They're still having an experience of the world and making preferences on that, even though they can't reciprocate the morality, right? We have humans that are like that. And just because they can't reciprocate morality, we don't exploit them or use them. We would still find that immoral. So animals, I'm saying, are no different.
So you can agree animals and humans are completely different then?
No, I just said they're morally the same.
So morally the same, but then why wouldn't it be okay for a human to do that, though? You were comparing a slight to the vast majority of animals.
So I'm saying that as a moral agent, we have a responsibility of weighing out right and wrong, right? We talk about that it's not okay to harm others when they don't want to be harmed. We talk about not crossing someone's bodily autonomy without consent, right?
Yeah, so how we compare humans
so
to
we
animals?
can weigh those out. Animals can't quite, they may have some morality, but they don't really, they don't have the space to actually think about their morality, right? They're always trying to survive.
Right?
But the point that you miss is that a lot of humans also are moral patients. Children, some disabled conditions like that, they're mentally not at the same level as like someone who's actively working a career and driving a car, and like there's moral agency versus a moral patient. But the humans who are moral patients, we still want to treat well and take care of as much as we can. And that's why I have laws protecting them, because they are still sentient and having experience.
What I'm saying is, like, we can agree that animals and humans are completely different because of those aspects I just mentioned. So how is it wrong for a human to do that and then okay for an animal? I know you said that because they don't know what they're doing, but if they don't know, if the whole
they're not completely different, they're just vulnerable. They're vulnerable and they don't understand. I can't go around policing animals, but I can talk to moral agents and say, hey, you know what's right and wrong. You know it's wrong to cross someone's bodily autonomy when they can't consent. Why are you doing it to this animal?
Yeah, so you can't tell a deer not to grape a doe. You can't tell a deer not to do one thing.
Are you a deer?
No, I'm not a deer. I'm a human.
Okay. Are you a human that I can communicate with?
Yes.
Then stop using animals as an excuse to mimic their behavior.
But what you're saying, we're morally the same when we're really morally not.
Can I eat my babies just because lions do that? My baby was too small, sir. Lions do it. Is that morally acceptable now?
No, exactly. You're proving my point exactly. Stuff animals do does not apply to humans.
So just because animals can harm each other doesn't mean you have the moral right to harm them. So why are you doing it?
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying we are different than animals. That kind of proved my point.
We are moral agents and they are moral patients, but we are also moral patients too. That's why I'm saying we're not totally different. We also are moral patients. We also need to be considered.
Some aspects of life, we both animals.
Okay, so we're not completely different. We do have differences. You and I have differences, right? You don't think the way I do. We can agree on some things, but we're totally different, right?
Yes,
so if you mean in that context, then yes, we're all unique beings. That is true. But morally, we're the same. For the same reasons that it's immoral to exploit me, it's immoral to exploit you. Just like it's immoral to exploit the animals.
Oh, I can see what your argument is, but I don't think we're really going to get any further than where we're at right now. I just want to change the... Are you okay with going to a different topic of it?
Well, I'm only talking about the morality. That's all I'm here to talk about.
All right. Have you ever... I'm sure you've heard about this, about overpopulation stuff. I know you brought up birth controls and stuff earlier, but...
Right. So the point that I'm making is that we look at animals as resources, as things to use or get out of the way, right? We don't see them as individual beings living their life. And as someone who does conservation, maybe instead of knee-jerking to violence and death, maybe consider other alternatives before that's like make killing them the last resort. Instead, it's the first thing to do because people get excited about getting dressed up and sitting in the woods.
So do you know where conservation gets the majority of their money from? This is genius.
It's not true. I have a study that actually debunks your claim.
What's my claim?
Hunting and recreational activities with hunting are like 6% of the funding that goes to it.
No, I'm all into conservation. I'm a national.
I understand, but the funding does not come from hunters. No, it does not. No, it does not. It does not. You are misinformed. I'm sorry. It's not true.
I can give you the link to it.
Okay, I would love for you to send that to me. I have a study. I just have to pull it up. I didn't have it open.
Like hunting license, that's a huge majority of it.
No, it is not. I just told you it is 6%. And again, it doesn't matter. I don't even care to talk about it because the thing is we can change it. Let's say that it was the majority from hunters. We can change where the money comes from. We don't need hunters. We don't need you. We can use other alternatives. But you don't even care because you like using animals for your entertainment. You like going
I can
pew-pew.
100% say majority of hunters have more respect for animals than anyone else on earth.
They do not though, because they take their lives.
Do you realize
you can't have respect for someone that you're taking their life without their consent.
So do you know what would happen to? We're going to use deer because it's a very popular type of hunting. Which is I'll deer hunt a lot.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're taking someone's life when it's unnecessary. Like it doesn't matter what you tell me. It's unnecessary.
You said birth control for deer. How is that going to be effective?
What do you? They wouldn't be able to have babies. Why are you shooting them?
Deliver birth control to deer.
You pew it in them, or you take them down and give it to them, or you put it in food. I'm not a conservationist, but there are other alternatives.
All right, first of all,
do you understand my point?
Baiting's illegal. There's a disease called chronic wasted disease. It's disease CWD. It's pretty much where deer, when they eat off the ground a pile of bait, they have their feces mixed in with it, and it spreads from deer to deer.
Okay, so don't put it on the ground. You're kind of straw manning. Like, no, it has to be on the ground in poop. And I
it sounds like he wants to talk more about methodology.
I know, not even about the animals.
Let's just say
let's
just say they've come up with a great way to give deer birth control, and you put it in a gun, pew, and you pew a deer with it. How do you get that number into the woods? Like, do you realize how many deer there are?
Okay. Why wouldn't why don't we use the hunters, pay them to go shoot birth control at the deer?
Where do they get the money to pay the hunters to do that? You can't just say
whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought you guys paid so much into conservation. Why don't we use that money?
I mean, I would like to move on from discussing the methodology. That's like a next step. Like we have to get people to understand the basic morality of why we would desire to unalive less wild animals.
Yes,
and and there's several factors that will go into shifting to a plant-based system and people adopting more vegan ethics, reducing our agriculture, farmland, the impact of like domestic animals, cleaning our waterways, replanting indigenous plants, because the ecosystem has changed. Like what we have done to it, I mean, I could see the changes from space. Our ecosystem has changed, but there's steps that we can go about improving a lot of things. There'll be like a counterbalance situation. Conservation is a very complex topic, and unaliving animals is a very, very, very small part of it.
Yeah. Shoot, I didn't say your name for a long time, so now I forgot it, but you're muted right now.
Ashton.
Ashton. I was like, it was Ash something. Yeah, Ashton.
I was saying, so you said your number one way to prevent overpopulation is birth control for deer and all.
Okay, again, it doesn't matter.
I just want to ask Ashton, did you hear anything that I just said? Like, it seemed like you just skipped over anything I just said. I'm just curious if you're like actively listening in this conversation or not, or if you're just here to talk about methodology, about how we would treat the animal population like deer. And a lot of hunters do this. I mean, it's a really big topic. There's a lot of hunting lives that, we can talk about. What we're really here to just talk about the ethics, trying to understand why we want to reduce unaliving all these animals.
Hey, Ashton, I'm going to give you like another second to come back. You're muted right now. There you go.
I'm muting myself. Or am I getting muted? I'm not doing it.
I didn't mute you that time. All my mods have the ability to mute you, so I don't know if one of them muted you, but continue, please.
I'm just going to end it up with it's impossible for the whole world to sustain of just a plant-based diet.
I think we should just move on. He wasn't listening to anything I was saying.
He wasn't. He didn't even hear you ask the question. He's just like,
think he was just
He's-
talking the entire time. So
Yeah,
maybe
he's just
try again later
purely-
when we have we'll have hunting specific lives. If you want to get into the methodology, I know some guys who really like to get kind of nerdy with that. You're welcome to it, but we're just here to talk sort of about the morality, and you didn't really grasp it the first time around. So we're just going to move on.
Yeah. All right. I see you, Keith. I see you, Dirty, as well. I'm going to bring up Keith. Dirty, I'll bring you up later. I'm just going to try to limit my vegans. Hey, Keith.
Filthy vegans.
Just dirty. All right. Let's bring up... I'm going to go from the bottom. I've been going from the top for a while. See, I don't want to... I know that sometimes you guys get mixed up. Ooh. I clicked on someone. Someone stepped out right as I clicked, so I don't know who I clicked on.
Okay.
Elijah. Hey, Elijah. Are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay. Why aren't you vegan yet?
Multiple reasons. One, there are several diseases that come and are at an increased rate when it comes to veganism. It also increases depression and can lower certain chemicals that your body produces that actually helps you.
Okay. Can you list those diseases for me?
Anemia is actually the big one, for one.
Just eat iron.
See, that's also unhealthy, taking straight... Okay, so I actually work... What I do for work is I actually run courses for dieting, health, and fitness for the military.
You should probably go talk to some professionals then to make sure that you have the right opinion.
That is my job. I do. I actually work straight with professional trainers that train bodybuilders.
Tell me specifically what I need from animals that I can't get from a plant-based diet.
Okay, first of all, do you take any sort of protein powder
No.
within your diet?
No.
Do you take any sort of artificially formed protein? Because you would have to from a vegan diet.
Artificially formed protein?
Yes.
Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
You can use chemicals to make artificial protein. And on top of that, our body is designed to eat
Do you know what essential
meat.
amino acids are?
Our body is designed to eat
Elijah.
meat.
Do you know what the 9 essential amino acids are?
No, I do not. That is not the part
Okay,
of the
I don't
course
know
I
why
teach.
we're having a conversation about protein and you don't even know what the 9 essential amino acids are.
You said your profession was telling people how to eat.
Yes, a structured diet.
You don't even know
what the 9 essential amino acids are.
Can you let me talk and finish the point I was making? Because this is exactly what you've done to the last two people you've brought up here is you've just talked over them.
Elijah, I think you need to
And
go
then
be
you-
better equipped. I'm sorry. I don't even want... You're going to just embarrass yourself. Yeah, you clearly don't actually talk to people about diet.
Yeah, just for the record, so to debunk him real quick on his 2 points. So we had a recent 2021 and 2020 study, one of them being a meta-analysis that showed hemoglobin levels were statistically the same between vegans and omnivores. There was no higher prevalence or rates of anemia to begin with. And then secondly, for protein, when protein quantities are matched between plant-based and animal-based diet groups, when those numbers are matched, the outcomes are the same in terms of strength and protein synthesis. There's no statistical difference whatsoever.
You actually, looking at you now, reminds me of the study that you had found about the conservation thing. If that guy is still in the audience, that study about the funding for conservation, at least in the U.S., is called Wildlife Conservation and Management Funding in the U.S. by Mark E. Smith, and it breaks down the funding. It's 6% from people's recreational outdoor activities. Anyway, that was such a good resource you found, Keith. Keith is the one that found that. Just want to give him credit.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to pop out for a second. Okay. Tim, come on up.
Tim was up earlier. I don't know if we want him.
Oh. He's still loading anyway. Looks like he wasn't going to work out anyway. Don't Tavoris. I do appreciate you guys helping me out too, telling me if I've brought someone up before. Looks like they dropped. Gore. Hey, Gore. How old are you?
18.
What year were you born?
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go from the bottom this time. Oh. Jake. Pictures making me nervous.
Hello?
Hey, Jake, are you over 18?
Yeah.
Right on. Why aren't you vegan yet?
Cause I fish and spearfish and I enjoy doing it. But one thing that I see you doing is you're comparing the life of a human to the life of an animal, which, like, it's like comparing a dog to a fish. Like, you can't compare the life of a human to, like, a deer or a cow.
Why not?
Like, because humans are of higher intelligence. They're like they act like more. Our brains are more complex than them. Like, if that makes
So what
sense.
if what about the humans that have the same cognition as the animals we use? Can I exploit them? Their brain
No,
isn't as complex.
It's still a human.
But what does that mean? Are you just drawing an arbitrary line between your species and another species?
Kinda, yes.
So it is arbitrary, which means there's no real reason behind it. You just have a aesthetic reason.
No.
So let's say your best friend gets a DNA test and it shows that they're not human anymore. Is it okay to exploit them?
That's not gonna happen. Why would you even argue that? That would never happen.
An alien species comes in and they're of similar intelligence as us, but they have mentally handicapped people. Is it okay to take advantage of their mentally handicapped people? They're aliens. They're not humans.
I don't know. Like that's not gonna probably ever happen. So
I appreciate that you know that we don't have aliens here. That's great. But I'm asking you to follow me on a hypothetical. I'm sure you know what a hypothetical is, right? A way to test your logic.
yeah.
Okay, Jake. You have a great day. I can't handle your microphone work. I know you're like rubbing your phone and it really gets you off, but I just don't care to hear it. All right, Jesse, come on up.
Fish do feel pain before he even got there.
Yes. Yeah. Jesse, are you over 18?
Yes.
Right on. Why aren't you vegan?
Well, mainly I was raised on a meat-based diet, and I'm honestly more comfortable with it.
Sure.
But
I can understand that.
Driving?
Yes.
Oh, Jesse, I'm so sorry. I can't. Are you able to pull over? I just can't have you up here if you're driving.
Even if it's like handless, I'm on like a Bluetooth.
Yeah. I'm really sorry. I can't. But if you do pull over, I can talk to you then. Yeah, it's TikTok rules. I just need you to focus on the road if you're driving. Because we could get heated and I don't want you to get in an accident because of that. All right. We'll go from the top this time. Espresso? Espresso? Oh. Dang, doesn't look like it's gonna work. I'm sorry about that. Clan. Are you over 18?
I'm 40.
Okay. Why aren't you vegan yet?
I'm gonna present you with a question. Why the fuck you gotta force your ideology on everyone?
Why the fuck do you have to force your ideology on animals?
Yeah, it's always wild to me when people bring up that argument because I'm like, I mean, I'm not the one pushing someone into like a gas chamber. Like, critically think for a sec, guys.
He just came up to be a tough guy for 3.4 seconds and then contribute nothing.
He had some insecurities that he had to render. He's like, I feel uncomfortable. I have to go beat someone up to make myself feel better. Okay. Kobe. Colby, are you over 18?
Hi.
Are you over 18?
Hello?
I can hear you. Are you over 18?
Hi.
You have a great day. Drop down here. Matthew.
Hello.
Hey, are you over 18?
Yep.
Right on. Why aren't you vegan?
Well, I was like the other person said before. I was born off a whole meat plan diet because of the low protein I had, and I had to go by. Closest thing was shrimp, so I had to eat shrimp. Make sure to keep my proteins up, so I won't have no diseases too. In a way.
Have you ever talked to a professional about your diet?
Yeah, I actually have
Okay. Well,
multiple
I would
times.
suggest you go get another opinion. Go to Challenge 22. They actually have
Wait,
professionals,
I
dietitians.
do got something to say though on here, if that's all right. It's a little question.
Go for it.
Okay, so I've seen people on here saying, "Were you born on a farm or no? Do you got a farm or no?
Do animals feel pain?
Do killing animals for plants? Because you know how
Do we
many
kill animals for plants? Do you know how many plants we kill for animals?
Yes, actually, 7.3 billion according to how many plants there are on farms. Actually, talking about deer, rabbits,
we use
snakes.
83%. We use 83% of our ag
Don't cut me
land
off,
for
please.
animals.
Let me talk.
Oh, I will cut you off, and I'll even kick you if you unmute yourself and I don't tell you to
Why?
unmute yourself.
Why?
Well, you have a
Can't
great
handle the-
day. I told you not to unmute yourself, and then you still did it. Like, why would you do that? We use 83% of our ag land for animals, for raising animals and their food. Okay? You want to talk to me about crop deaths? You should be vegan. We would have fewer. Go ahead, Lydia. Sorry.
Yes, a lot of vegans have grown up and been on farms, hence why we're vegan.
Yeah. And it doesn't even matter. Like, I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't need to go to a farm. I understand that animals feel pain and that they suffer. I don't need to see slaves to know that slavery is wrong, right? Like, it doesn't matter if I've been to a farm. I've seen farms. Yes. Have I ever, like, lived on one? No. Doesn't matter. Don't use animals. C8. I feel like I've talked to you before. Hey. Well, that's rude. I don't want to hear that. Obnoxious. Lord K. I feel like did I have this person agricultural Slim Shady? I was looking at your name before. I don't know if I.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Hello?
Are you over 18? I
Yes,
can. Are you over 18?
Yes, I'm 20.
Right on. Why aren't you vegan?
Well, I completely agree with a lot of things that you've said, and I totally agree with a lot of things to do with the ethics concerning veganism. I think that that's an important message to spread. I'm not personally vegan. There's a lot of complicated reasons. Some are personal to me that I just don't wish to share on the live. My only thing that I just wanted to talk to you about mainly is the comparing of veganism to slavery. And I understand from a perspective of coming from like, yes, it is very similar. There's very similar practices that happen, just ethically speaking. But I think that it's kind of a bit immoral to compare factory farming to human slavery.
Why is that?
Like, just comparing the suffering of Black people to livestock. To me personally,
I never said that they are animals. I said that we're all morally the same.
Right.
So I'm using the example of an atrocity and the practices and saying we're doing those same practices to someone who's sentient.
Sure.
Yeah, the point real quick is not about drawing an equals sign. It's about drawing parallels between the situations.
Sure. And I completely understand that. I understand how debate works. I understand the hypotheticals, testing your theories and understanding that. I totally get it. I just think that when you talk about systemic societal issues and stuff like that, I think that there is just a discrepancy between slavery historically and how.
And what is that?
I mean, do you think that Alex Hershaft, who was quite literally in the Nazis, Schmazzi's Holocaust, he was literally in there, and he in the 70s or 80s went vegan because of him drawing the similar parallels of what we're drawing in other situations. Like one of the most atrocious acts in human history
and he sees the parallels, someone who is quite literally there. Do you think that Alex is being facetious or a terrible person when he's drawing these parallels as a vegan who experienced the Holocaust?
No, sure, I'm sure that there are similarities, but I'm just saying.
So would you wait? But would you call it? Would you say that it's immoral for him to make those parallels?
I wouldn't, because I believe he's lived that experience. I think that that's his.
So what is the difference then between that and talking and comparing slavery with animals, animal treatment?
I mean, I think it's just a different position of power, personally. I think that...
How is it different?
Because you don't
How
currently
is it different from
face
Alex Hershaft talking about the Holocaust? How is that different?
Because you don't personally deal with societal, systemic issues that are stemmed from American slavery.
I don't? Oh,
No.
okay. That doesn't matter, though. I can be who I am and still recognize the immorality that happened in slavery and see the similarities in animal agriculture and speak about them. There's nothing wrong with me saying what happened to people that were enslaved was immoral, just like it's immoral to do that to animals.
I mean, sure. I mean, sure, you can say that.
So then tell me, why is human slavery immoral? Any human slavery.
Why is it immoral? There's many reasons why it's immoral. It's suffering.
Give me one.
Pain.
Just pain. Okay. What if they didn't have pain? What if my slaves never felt pain, but they're still my slaves?
You asked me to name one reason. That would be a follow-up reason.
Follow me then with my hypothetical.
Sure.
I have slaves. Is it okay that I have slaves even though I don't hurt them?
No, that's another reason.
Why? But why?
Because you're taking away their free will.
Taking away their freedom, right? I'm forcing my purpose onto someone else, right?
Sure.
Okay, so that's what I'm pointing out with animals, right? We're forcing a purpose onto the animals. They're sentient beings that have their own purpose. They want to live. There's no moral reason to use them. Just like there's no moral reason to enslave a person. Doesn't matter the benefits we get from it. Slavery brought down the price of goods. Slavery made goods more available to people that maybe weren't able to get a hold of it before, like poor people that weren't enslaved. But slavery of people, still immoral, right?
Sure,
Animals
no.
do give us benefits from being farmed, but that's still immoral to force our purpose onto a living being like that.
Sure. And maybe it's just, maybe it is just a personal, like, visceral reaction I have just to comparing slavery to this.
It's normal. It is normal. I often come across it. It's just that people they want to just react to the fact that I've brought up slaves and I'm talking about animals. So they feel this reaction that I'm calling Black people animals, which is not what I'm saying at all. I'm looking at two different atrocities and I'm comparing the treatments and I'm saying, what is the moral difference between humans and animals that makes it okay to do it to animals, but not okay to do it to humans? And to me, we're morally the same. We're both sentient. We both are making preferences. We both want to live. We both don't want to feel pain. What other reasons are there, right?
Well, you keep talking about sentience, and I would like to just pivot because I don't think we're gonna reach a middle ground.
Oh,
unless
well,
we
that's the only
discuss-
thing that I'm focusing on, right? Like, why do humans have rights? Because
sure,
of our
I'm-
sentience.
I was wondering,
So
do
there's
you think-
no.
would you be-
If you ignore sentience, then everything else is pointless, right? You're treating now this being as an object because you've taken their beingness away.
Well, I want to talk about consciousness. Are you prepared to have a discussion about animal consciousness? Because this is my field of study, actually, that I'm currently engaged in.
Okay, I just want to be clear, though. It doesn't matter that they're not as the same intelligence as us, right? It does not
I'm not
matter.
talking about intelligence. That's not what I want to talk about. Streams of consciousness and the first and second degree of consciousness. Are you aware of this argument?
Okay, but again, you're just going to go. So the thing is, sentience is a binary thing. You either are sentient or you're not. And anything
Correct, yeah.
above that is going to be intelligence. So you're going to talk about consciousness, which is a little closer to like thinking about thinking, right? And
I mean,
even if someone is not aware of their exploitation, it's still immoral to exploit that person.
Sure. And I guess I would just refute that and saying that everything above that is intelligence. I think that there are other factors when you talk about a second degree of consciousness and reflection, and some of those things are...
But it doesn't matter is my point. My point is, if someone is experiencing the world and they're making preferences on it, that's all that matters. They're experiencing the world. You don't get the right to cross their bodily autonomy. It doesn't matter how conscious they are. They have a brain, central nervous system, and nociceptors. That's enough.
That's enough. That's what it is. Those are the only things.
Sentience, yes.
Okay. So do you not believe that any plants whatsoever or fungal growth has any level of sentience? I mean, that's a highly debated topic in science, especially when talking
So
about
I want to be
protozoans.
clear. When you bring up plant sentience, are you trying to say that killing a plant is the same as killing an animal?
No, I'm only bringing it up because
Then
you
why
want to
bring
talk
it up?
about consciousness.
I don't
Because
care
you-
about plant sentience. If plants were sentient, we would still be vegan. We feed so many plants to the animals. So it doesn't matter if plants are sentient or not. The conversation is pointless. It distracts from the fact that animals are sentient, clearly sentient. Imagine if we were talking about slaves and you're like, are plants sentient? It's like, we're talking about the slaves and their experience and that they don't deserve to be enslaved, right? To talk about plants is insulting to the victim.
Right,
You
and I'm not a
understand?
plant right
So you're
activist. I know,
insulting
I'm
the
just-
animals. You're insulting the animals by saying, aren't plants sentient? You're insulting them.
Well, that's
because
not
you
what
think
I'm
they're
saying.
nothing
I'm just
more than
talking about
grass.
consciousness. We're just
It
talking
doesn't
about
matter
we're
though.
three stems.
What could you even say about consciousness that isn't related to intelligence that would justify using the animals? Go for it.
Self-awareness. Let's talk about self-awareness and self-perception.
We have humans that are not self-aware. Can I exploit them?
No, because it's a species
Why?
issue. It's absolutely
So
a
you're
species
drawing an arbitrary line. You're just saying my group. Do you not hear that? My group is the only good group. We've had that in history and it's played out really badly.
No, and I understand that. I think that there is, but you have to also have some sort of just on a base level. It doesn't have to be a very theoretical, conversation, but you have to agree that, like somebody, I don't necessarily agree that we're the top of the food chain. I think that we're a little smarter than that to just say that we're top of the food chain, but that humans do have a higher level of complex thought than
Again, it doesn't
a
matter.
majority of other creatures.
This is the Superman, like Clark Kent hypothetical. Like, we have Clark Kent coming from planet Krypton to planet Earth, and let's say he was just a regular Joe Schmo. He doesn't have superpowers, but he gets adopted, picked up by this family. He's raised, and he looks just like us. But then we learn later on his DNA doesn't match us whatsoever. Yet he looks just like us. He's treated us fair and kindly this entire time. And then he has, to her example, offspring that are incapable of self-awareness or something like this. That wouldn't make it okay to suddenly mistreat Superman's children, Clark Kent's children, just because they are not of the Homo sapien species. Like that would make no sense in any logical tracking route. Like we have to have things that supersede species when we're analyzing things morally.
For sure. I totally agree. I think that is important to note. But historically, you have to see that has happened. That has happened. That's currently happening. A lot of people suffer from things. The result of that.
Yeah, but we're talking about the morality of things, not whether something happens or not. We're talking about whether something is moral or not. Would you agree that using Superman's, mentally alter-abled children would be immoral without their consent?
Without their consent, yes.
Okay, so then what makes that situation different from the animals?
Well, I mean, I think that this is really an interesting hypothetical. This has a lot to do with other hypotheticals, like the trolley experiment, right? Do you save lives even though no one gives consent?
I'm asking you a question though, and you're pivoting.
Sure.
I want to know your answer. What is the difference between exploiting Superman's kids and exploiting animals?
Well, you didn't want to. I think my argument is level of consciousness, the second stream, even the third stream of complex thought.
Superman's kid is mentally challenged. Why can't I exploit Superman's kid?
That's a species issue. I already stated that. We've already been through this. This is a roundabout.
Is it immoral for me to use Superman's kid?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Hypothetically.
Okay. Why?
Hypothetically, if they mimicked the actions and the complex thought and brain analysis of a human, perhaps. If they didn't, I would say
They didn't. Nope. They're Superman's kid. Superman grew up around us normal. But his kid, no. It's okay to exploit his kid?
If their kid had different developmental differences than a human, different human DNA thought processes, I would find that to be more moral than harming Superman.
You find
or
it moral to
a human
exploit
being.
Superman's kids?
You're talking about Superman's kids. You sound how ridiculous this
I'm
sounds.
talking about
Well, no,
Superman's kid, yes.
Yes.
Agriculture, like when hypotheticals, like when we're doing debate structure is centered around hypotheticals. Honestly,
I understand. Well, okay,
hypotheticals are
hypothetically-
one of the most important things.
Okay,
if
can I
not the
propose
most
something
important
then?
thing.
Hypothetically, if Superman's kids had the cure for cancer, exploiting them without their consent would literally scientifically proven to help millions of people, number one cause of death. Like, would you support that? Yes or no?
That's a utilitarian argument.
Yeah,
you
it's a
can make-
hypothetical,
you could-
though.
And it's
you-
not
you-
even
yeah,
what
you-
the
you-
current
no, I
agricultural
understand
system
that. And
is.
you
I
could
know
make
it isn't.
some. You could make
Sure.
some extrapolated potential justification for a situation like that because of the net massive amount of utility that would come from it. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a simple
Argue
situation
slavery.
in which this guy came from a different planet. He's not human. He's not Homo sapien. He had children. The children are developmentally different from Norm, and they have various issues, and like they lack self-awareness or whatever. This wouldn't make it suddenly okay to now just exploit Superman's children just because they're different.
Sure.
Like, we're talking about, like, you drew up another hypothetical that had to do with a utilitarian argument. We're just talking about the individual and individual's argument and the moral worth behind that individual.
Sure. Okay. I guess I understand that a little bit better. If you don't mind, would you mind if we move on to just talking about large scale agriculture and large scale, like, what
No,
the
I'm
plan would
talking
be
about
for
the
veganism?
individuals. I
You're
don't
talking
care about the
individuals.
environment. Yes,
Okay.
I'm only talking about the morality of you and your choices specifically affecting animals. Because every time you pick up a package, another animal goes through the system because of your demand. Okay. So because of that, I'm talking to people about not doing that. If you agree that using someone is immoral, that cannot consent, if you agree that's immoral, and you still use animals, then you're living hypocritically, right? You have two opinions about the same situation, which is why I keep comparing two different things. You have one opinion about one thing, and then you change it for animals.
I think that everything can be it's not everything is so black and white. I mean, the clothes that you're wearing currently, do you think that any amount of human labor was like immorally used to source that shirt that you're wearing?
How much exploitation happens for animal products? Is it 100%?
But can you answer my question? I answered yours.
Sorry,
You answer
before we get into this is an appeal to hypocrisy fallacy. You're going, because you did this other thing that's wrong.
Well, that's what you're saying.
You're saying doing this now justifies this topic that we started with. You're veering off into another area to try to justify the original topic, which makes no sense. And yes, as a vegan, if we learned that our clothing involved, immense exploitation, and we could avoid it, then yes, we would do our best to avoid something like that. That's literally what we do as vegans.
Right.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just confused how that's any different than what you just stated to me.
So Keith just pointed out that if you were to tell me this shirt, if you could point out that this shirt that I'm wearing right here was made with exploitation, and that's just the only way that it's made, then I will stop getting those products. But I would also throw to you that how often do you buy clothing? I don't buy clothing. I don't even buy clothing every year. I buy maybe a shirt and I wear that shirt until it's worn out. Sure. So how often do you purchase animal products versus clothing, right? You can absolutely stand for humans and not buy exploitative clothing, or at least be aware of it as much as possible and make the right choices, right? But you can do that while being vegan. You can make food choices and clothing choices. It's really not that hard.
Yes, I agree. I guess I'm just not understanding why you think that the two are mutually exclusive only on a vegan diet.
Because shirts can be made without exploitation. You have to have exploitation for animal products, period. There's no getting the animal products without it.
So you're saying that just because
you're using someone. You're using someone.
Right.
You're using them.
The way that, but that's what I'm saying. The way that the fashion industry is currently, you are using someone.
Again, you're not listening. Shirts. Can you actually show me that this particular shirt was made with slave labor?
Sure. What's it made of? What's the primary material in it?
I don't know. It doesn't even matter.
because I can tell you how polyester is sourced. I can tell you how cotton is sourced. I can tell you like how unethical.
This
all
shirt,
of these
though,
things
I
are.
guarantee it's sold on Etsy and it's made by Anti-Carnist, and they source their clothing that is labor. They have labor unions. They're well paid, fair trade. These shirts and my sweatshirt even are made by them. I know that they're from decent sources, but it doesn't even matter because, again, a shirt can be made without exploitation. Animal flesh, animal secretions, animal skin, animals being tested on. That absolutely requires exploitation of that animal.
Well,
There's no getting around it.
Now you're falling onto a bit of a fallacy as well.
Clothing can be made without exploitation. Animal flesh, animal secretions, any animal product, absolute exploitation. You want to stop paying for exploitation? Go vegan. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite and just spending lip service.
Well, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to point out your own personal biases that you may have towards convenience and technology and.
So you're telling
everyday
me,
things.
wait, I want to point out.
So-
So let's say I'm a hypocrite. Are you trying to say that if I'm a hypocrite, that gives you the excuse to exploit others?
No,
Gives
I'm
you
just
the
saying
excuse
you-
to harm others. Then
I'm
why are
saying
you
you
pointing it
think
out?
that. I'm
What
saying
is
that that's how I
your
see it to be.
justification? What is your justification for using animals when you do not need to?
What is your justification for using?
No.
items
You
every day?
answer my question, or I'm going to kick you. What is your moral justification for using animals?
I've already told you, stream of consciousness to the second degree.
Agriculture, the whole point would be that you have the capacity. If you feel like she's being a hypocrite because of this other thing, fine. Go vegan and then also do that other thing that you're talking about.
Exactly.
There's no reason for you to make this separation and a distinction that, oh, because she's not following this perfectly and XYZ other thing that is unrelated, therefore that means it's okay. Again, this is going back to it. It's an appeal to hypocrisy fallacy. You know, just because someone is doing something else not perfect in your eyes or whatever, that doesn't mean that the debate topic at hand is now suddenly void and null. The point still remains about we are exploiting animals ad nauseum for no reason.
This is exactly what I'm saying, though. I'm glad you brought this up because this is exactly my point. The things are not mutually exclusive. The things are not black and white. I don't believe that you are a hypocrite for wearing a shirt that maybe had some degree of unethical sourcing. But I just need you to understand that not every single person who eats meat is doing so in an unethical way. I truly do believe that indigenous cultures, there are many tribes in African Igbo culture, there are many places that source meat
Agriculture,
ethically.
the difference, the only area where that even gets any play would be if there's some genuine necessity for it, right?
So
If
you don't
there's some-
believe. So
if
you don't
there's-
believe in
if-
spiritual or any
No, that's
exceptions
not-
to that at all.
That's not a necessary item. Like, it doesn't matter which culture it would be around the world. That's again another fallacy. It's an appeal to culture fallacy that has nothing that would, break the moral argument of exploiting animals. Like, oh, I need to do this random ceremony that involves slitting the throat of a goat. That would be just absurd. Like, that's not necessary for you to be able to perpetuate your culture. Like, it's not like your culture is surrounded on the act of harming animals. There's all kinds of other ways to express your culture that don't involve that. So yeah, no, it's not something that is going to be deemed necessary.
I listen, I see you. I agree with that. I just think that you don't want to talk about availability on a large scale, so we can't really get into that unless you're willing to open
because I'm not talking about the world. We're talking about you specifically. So if you want to talk about like availability to other people, yeah, you should go vegan and then fight for those people's rights to have access to food. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I see your point. I do understand that. I guess the only thing we're not going to get anywhere is just talking about the psychology behind it. I just think that maybe that's something that you could inform yourself a little bit more on.
I think you tell yourself that animals are not as aware of the world so that you have a comfort in knowing that they're maybe not aware that they're being harmed or used, but that's still immoral. Do you see that you're actually having to pad yourself to make yourself feel better about that exploitation? You have to tell yourself, oh, I think more than they do, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't believe so. I think that the number one reason why I'm not vegan.
I'll tell you why you do. Because if we had a human, I can't. I can tell you why you'd be a hypocrite. Because I guarantee, if there was a human, the same cognitive, conscious level as an animal, you wouldn't be for exploiting them. You'd say they're human, right? They're a part of my species. But I'm telling you, there's no difference. Their cognition is the same. That's your only argument, is that their consciousness is different. But I just gave you an example of a human being the same level. I guarantee you wouldn't be for exploiting them.
I mean, I do want to interject too on like, because I know part of this you were going to like just touch on first and second degree consciousness. Like, if you only protected and cared for and only stopped exploitation of animals at those that were reached the second degree of self-awareness, like passing the mirror test and whatnot, then you're now limited to only protecting, primates, dolphins, orcas, elephants, and a few different birds, and like maybe like a fish and octopus, and then maybe a few other contenders. The amount of animals that exist on this planet are obviously extensively further reaching than that. So we obviously shouldn't break our care for animals at the point of second degree awareness. Like, that would be insane to just say, all right, you guys get a free ticket to pass and I'll never exploit or do anything wrong to you, but everyone behind this line, I'm sorry, you're screwed, guys. Sorry.
Do you have any other thoughts, agricultures?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I could unmute myself. Yes, I understand that, but I guess my main reason why I'm not vegan currently, and again, I really do appreciate you coming on these lives. I appreciate this dialogue too, just because it does give me insight, and I hope that it also gives you insight on why people feel different ways as well. But I guess the reason right now why I'm not vegan mainly is financial reasons of where I live, and also dietary restrictions that I personally have to follow. For medical reasons.
I do have resources for you. I have Challenge 22. You can actually talk to a dietitian, and they work with your budget, your taste pleasure, like what the things you like, and the stores that are around you in your area. So they'll specifically help you in your situation. That's Challenge 22. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you can do ChatGPT. And it's not that it's necessarily a resource, it's that it can take you to resources. So you can ask it, can I get all my protein? Can I get all my nutrition? Give me a source that says that I can. Also, nutritionfacts.org. They're on YouTube, or you can just go to .org. They have all the science about how to get your needed nutrition. They break down the studies and the methodologies for you. Cronometer, you can type in any food that you eat. It'll break down the nutritional values down to like the minor minerals. So you can see everything that you need to make sure you get everything. Like I said, Challenge 22 is the easiest, just because you can talk to a dietitian to actually make meal plans. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. Beans and rice are like the cheapest things in the store. Frozen fruits and vegetables, same thing,
Yeah, to just iterate another point on that, because on like the cheap thing, the PCRM just did a recent analysis of last year, and vegan plant-based diets were on average about 16% less expensive than diets including meat, dairy, and eggs. And this is for the U.S., which I just based on way you sound, I assume you're from the U.S. And then just going off of the standard American diets, it's about 19 or 20% cheaper. So whether you're doing like a more whole food, animal-based diet or the standard American diet, both of these retroactively are cheaper under a plant-based diet.
Sure, I guess that doesn't necessarily align with the data that I'm currently looking at for the state that I live in. I live in a much more expensive state than average. And I'm just seeing here that it's averagely quite a bit more just where I live. And I think that both can be true. I think some places it is, some places it isn't. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's just not a lifestyle change I can make currently. I can't hear you.
Oh, you're muted.
So you're telling me, though, that your entertainment is worth more than the animal's life?
What are you talking about?
You're saying that it's just not right for you right now.
Yeah, it's not the right move for me right now financially.
Right. So you're telling me that your entertainment and convenience is worth more than an animal's entire existence?
Can you elaborate on that?
So you're not willing to take maybe a couple of days to relearn how to eat so that you don't have to take someone's life away from them? Because when you use animal products, you're taking someone's entire existence away for your benefit, for your pleasure. All of them.
I just, again, respectfully, I don't think we're going to reach common ground there just because.
Then why did you come up here?
No, because I just wanted to, well, really the main reason I came up there was just because I found it just a bit icky talking about the slavery. Just truly that kind of hit a chord with me where I didn't feel right about that. And I heard out your argument and I still I have a personal visceral reaction to it. And I appreciate
most people do, but if you think about it, there's no logical reason to be upset because I'm not insulting people. I'm not saying people are animals. I'm saying morally we are the same in the sense that we both feel pain. We both want to live. We don't want to die. We all would find a slaughterhouse terrifying. Going into a chute or even a grinder or whatever, we would all find that horrifying. Why are we subjecting others to that? Babies even, they are the similar cognition of children. And we're subjecting them to the scariest thing. Go ahead, Keith, sorry.
I just wanted to interject too, because I think, the big thing on top of this is maybe you did say, or I missed it, but she was offering resources too for you to help with the aspects that you were saying you would struggle with, whether it was the restrictions or whether it was the price point. She was offering you to go try out challenge22.com. It's free.
Yeah, and I screenshotted the resources. I appreciate them.
Great. Okay, that's good.
I appreciate what you guys are doing. I do think that I personally fall somewhere in the middle. I do believe that veganism is helpful, and I do think that it, on a large scale, if society completely switched to a vegan diet, I think that things would be better off. I really do. But I also think to some extent that's not realistic on a large macro scale currently. And
have you seen Dominion?
No, I haven't.
You should definitely watch that first because we can switch over. It talks a lot about the resource waste, but mostly it focuses on the individuals that we're using. And we can definitely have a greener world without using them.
Yeah, the IPCC, who most recently did one of the largest, if not the largest, studies on the environment, their position regarding dietary patterns would be that one of, if not the biggest things that an individual can do. I mean, obviously there's lots of things that you can do outside of this, but it's generally impractical. You could go, plant 1 million trees, but not everyone's going to have time or resources to do that. But on a very easy scale, one of the biggest things an individual can do to aid the environment would be to be fully plant-based. So, I mean, and there's all kinds of other resources backing that up, like the Epic Oxford study, the Lancet study, et cetera, et cetera. This isn't something new. Emissions are generally down, land use change is down, species extinction is down, resource use is down. All these things are improved under a plant-based system, not worsened.
Sure. Okay. I appreciate your time. I think we had a really good dialogue, so I appreciate that. I definitely won't concede that logically the slavery thing is a decent argument I feel to make. It's just something I morally disagree with. It's something that I've dedicated a lot of.
I just use it because it was a rights movement that was for people that were enslaved that were thought of as less than a person. So because a lot of the arguments that people that use animals are use the same as the slave owners. Slave owners did the same thing. So that's why I relate it to it, because I'm like, you're saying the same thing as slave owners. Do you really want to sound like them? Do you want to talk like them, justifying enslaving someone for your benefit because some arbitrary reason? And
Sure.
We have a visceral reason or a feeling against slavery because we don't want it done to us, right? We know that if we had it done, we would be upset, uncomfortable, miserable. So we don't want others to be subjected to that because we relate with that suffering, that pain, that lack of freedom. And I'm saying animals, I know they look different. I know they think different, but they're not morally different.
Sure. No,
they feel pain and want to live.
I agree. I think that that's important to note. And I think that, and I know you didn't want to talk about a macro scale, but I think that everybody should do their research into, if they're not going to realistically be vegan, buying ethically sourced meat, just something that's
Watch
in the
Dominion.
right direction.
Because even the small scale, I know they sound nice. They don't do it any better. They don't. I know that sometimes the animals look better, but when you put in cameras, they always break rules. They always break rules because they see the animals as resources, and that's how it starts. And honestly, if you're against factory farming, where do you think it started from? It started from small scale farms. Okay. Sure. So it starts with our mindset and how we view animals. If you see an animal as a resource, as something that is used for the benefit of humans, then you're of course going to not think of them as worthy of protection. But if you recognize that there is someone in there experiencing the world, maybe not as intelligent as you, but still experiencing the world and making preferences, you'll have a harder time justifying taking that from them.
Sure. Yeah. And I've actually have done a lot of reading on this. I mean, I've read like Omnivore's Dilemma. I've watched a ton of different documentaries concerning this kind of thing. I really have. I've done a lot of research on this. So that's why I wanted to come up.
You should watch Dominion then. If you want to be informed, that's another great resource then. Yeah. I would absolutely check that out.
Your live. I will definitely look at your resources. And I think just an important thing to note is just maybe think a little bit more about just how the language towards slavery might impact like Black Americans.
I've very carefully thought of. I've already considered how I use my words. Sure. I do appreciate your concern, but until you understand the why, I just don't really care for the criticism because you're still harming animals, right? Any criticism you have for me, like you're still not vegan, right? You haven't even convinced yourself. So you're telling me that pointing to slaves is ineffective. I mean, have you converted anybody to veganism yet?
No, I'm sure. I just think that maybe.
Well, that's my point. Is that some people actually relate with that because they understand that I'm not insulting them. They're listening to my words, not just responding to the conversation of having slaves and animals in the same conversation. They actually see that I'm talking about the treatment, and then they actually will understand. Oh yeah, there is no moral difference. So I don't think there's anything wrong. I do appreciate you speaking on it, but until you actually understand the why, which the Dominion movie will help, I don't really care about the criticism.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. Well, I appreciate you having me up. I appreciate the dialogue.
Yeah. I appreciate you being open to hearing it, and I appreciate you looking into those resources, really.
Of course.
I do.
Yeah. No, you as well.
If anything, I would love to actually even talk to you after you watch Dominion. I would love to hear, if you have a different opinion or not.
Oh. I keep my my profile the same. I'll give you a follow and I'll come up in a live in the future. If you see me, I'll wave in the chat. I appreciate that.
I would love that. I look forward to it then.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good one.
Yeah. I do like people being open to things. I'm totally for a conversation being challenging too. That's fine. But I really don't like disingenuous arguments. I don't know who's been here the longest now. Oh, I'm gonna go with, oh my gosh, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, are you over 18? Joe?
I'm 29. I was born in 95.
Beautiful. Why aren't you vegan?
Because I don't see the moral reason for it. I'm saying I kind of go to the argument of why do we think it's immoral to kill humans? And if you look at other like tribes and all that, they have issues. They don't have any issue with human sacrifice and all that. It was only with more European and Asian cultures.
So Joe,
yeah.
In your moral framework, do you think human sacrifice is moral?
I think that the reason why I don't believe in morals inherently, I think that the reason why we make it illegal to kill humans is because we want to have a society with kind of balance and that you don't have to fear for your life constantly at all points.
I'm almost sure that people vote for laws to protect themselves.
Right, correct.
Okay, and they don't consider the society. They consider themselves, I don't want to be treated like that.
Agreed.
I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be used. I don't want my bodily autonomy violated.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree, but that's because you fear for your own rights to be lost. Versus when we're talking about
Everybody feels that way.
Correct. But then in that case, so everyone's thinking for themselves. So I don't have to be scared that a cow, a chicken, a pig is going to take away my life. Therefore, I don't have any reason to defend it.
The people that end up having to unalive those animals all day have higher rates of alcoholism, drug use, violence, domestic abuse. There's crime that raises around slaughterhouses. So it does affect people in a bad way.
If they thought that it was affecting them in a bad way, then why would they put themselves in such a situation?
Because there's such a high demand for flesh, and they usually hire people that are vulnerable, that don't have any other options. They can't go find a job elsewhere.
Okay, interesting. I don't see why I would make laws though to go into to take that to make that illegal. Let them
I'm not
fight.
talking about laws. I'm talking about your morality. I'm talking about your morality, and why do you think it's moral for you to force your purpose on somebody else?
I think that we could get into any profession then. I'm saying dentists have a high level of...
I didn't realize that dentists were killing their patients.
No, dentists have a high level of
so it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I'm talking about individuals that are being literally used like slaves.
What about a coal miner or a steel worker?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're just pointing out things that we agree on. I agree that human exploitation is wrong because those are sentient beings.
Then why do you use anything that's steel?
Oh, Joe, you're just going to point out hypocrisy. So someone being hypocritical, Joe, someone being hypocritical gives you the right to exploit somebody else?
No, but I don't think...
Okay, then why are you trying to point out my hypocrisy when I'm trying to tell you, you don't need to use animals? And even in your own moral framework, you think it's wrong to use somebody who cannot consent. Why are you going against your own morals?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't really agree with.
You think it's okay to use someone who cannot consent?
Not really.
Not really, or no? It's not. Is it immoral or is it moral?
I'm saying I don't think that there are moral issues in general in this world to begin with. My issue is that
So, Joe, you don't think anything's right or wrong?
I think that we have rules set in place.
Do you think Jeffrey Dahmer? Do you think what Jeffrey Dahmer did was right?
No, because I don't
Why?
think that...
You just told me you don't believe in right and wrong.
No, not that I don't believe in right and wrong. I don't believe in morals. I don't believe in this inherent, icky feeling.
What do you think morals are?
A way that society constructed in order to make it...
They're how we feel about something being right and wrong.
Right, and in tribes...
Okay, so you do believe in morals. You do believe in right and wrong. Joe, I don't really want to talk to you. You're just trying to be stupid, and I don't appreciate it. Go ahead, Keith, sorry.
This is that. I mean, it's just great. Yeah, that's we have. That's literally majority of morals have to do with moral relativism, which is literally determining right versus wrong. It's. Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't even know how to word that. It's just morals, right and wrong. That's what we're talking about. Why is it right to do one action, wrong to do the other? That's what I'm here for talking about. Whoops, there goes my earbud. All right. Oh, got my music. There we go. All right, Jay, come on up. I do appreciate the gifts from you guys. I don't use them for anything. I always pay them forward to other vegans, so don't feel compelled to give me coins. It's unnecessary. But I do appreciate it. I still see it, and I understand it's a love. I get it. All right, Jay. I'm sorry. It didn't work. There we go. Sorry, I muted myself again. I have the mute button up, and I accidentally keep tapping it. Truth and love. Are you over 18?
I'm 39.
Okay. Why aren't you vegan?
Because I think that humans ate meat all their life, throughout history. And most of the vitamins you need comes from meat, such as vitamin B12, right?
Actually, B12 comes from bacteria, and the animals get it from the bacteria. So we could just take out the middleman and just take it ourselves.
Well, actually, to make that even worse, 90% of all B12 supplements produced on this planet are fed to non-ruminant animals, so chickens and pigs primarily.
You guys take the supplements. I eat the meat. You
So,
get what I mean?
truth. Did you hear what I said? Farmers. So, do you understand that chickens and pigs rely on being supplemented with B12 to get B12 into their bodies?
Not on farms. I don't know these big
So,
corporations.
truth.
I
Do you
don't know what they
understand that
do.
90 to 99% of animals are factory farmed, based just depending on the country that you're in? But generally speaking, it's about 95 to 99%.
Yeah,
So
probably
with
most of
that
it
with
is
that
factory
understood, the vast majority of animals being produced are produced on factory farms, and they are supplemented with B12. The only animals that are not supplemented with B12 are ruminants, so animals like cows. And cows are instead supplemented with cobalt because they need cobalt in order to produce B12 androgynously. So if you're worried about B12 and not wanting supplements, then you shouldn't be consuming
I'm
meat.
asking you, why do the corporations, the factory farm meats, need vitamin B12 supplemented, and the farm-grown animals don't need that? Why?
Because it's depleted in soils.
Or
there's not enough to go around for how much they're producing.
Factory farm meats eat GMOs, like corn. Right?
Okay.
And farm-grown animals eat all natural grass or hay.
Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're telling me that it is justified to take someone's life because they have B12 in their flesh. So why can't I do that to another human?
Humans and animals are different. You look at
can
the
you tell
animal
me how?
kingdom, right? No,
Tell
hold
me
on.
how.
You just look at the
No,
animal
I want to
kingdom.
know. I want to know the
Whether it's
difference.
Lions. Hold on. Whether it's
No,
lions.
I want you to answer my
It's called
question.
the food chain. It's called the food chain. It's just
Where
natural.
are
It's
the
just-
humans
it's
in the
just
food
life.
chain? Where are humans in a
On
food chain?
top. Obviously on top. We're on top.
So if you were in a cage
Yeah.
with a lion, you think that lion you're going to beat the lion?
Well, that lion will make you part of his food chain. That's my point. It's all
So my
natural.
point is, we're
It's
not
just
part of
life.
the food chain. We have farmed
You
animals.
will be if you're in that
We
cage with the
we
lion.
have farm animals. We have farm animals. That's not a food chain. That's enslavement. We've literally just taken these creatures and put them in tiny little spaces. We fatten them up. We take their life and then we eat them. But they're sentient beings. Imagine if we did that to a person. Maybe a child that's never going to grow up and their mental capabilities are similar to the animals we use. Still immoral. You can unmute yourself.
You know what people used to do a long time ago? Yeah, women used to gather and men used to
It
hunt.
doesn't
We
matter.
used to-
Doesn't matter.
No, this is
Doesn't
what we
matter.
used to do
No,
to eat.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We have evidence that we can thrive on plants right now. We have evidence. We know for a fact that humans can thrive on plants right now. Doesn't matter what our ancestors did. We can still look at the past and learn from it, but we don't have to mimic it. You're muted again.
Yeah, you keep muting me. I don't know why.
Oh, because you just keep talking.
Oh yeah, because I'm just telling you a natural thing of life,
Well,
Eating
grape
meat
is natural. It's
natural.
still immoral.
Oh, what's natural?
Grape. It's the TikTok word for sexual or for SA.
That's not natural. That's unnatural. What are you talking about?
It is natural, actually. It kept
No,
up our
it's not natural.
biodiversity. It kept
No,
up our
that's-
biodiversity. It kept up our biodiversity, which protected us from being wiped out by disease. You're muted again because you kept talking. Oh, yeah.
I don't
If you
know why
keep talking, I
muting
will
me like
continue
that.
to mute you.
Fine.
So, what justifies you using animals?
because it's natural to eat animals. I just
So is
told you,
grape.
it's the food chain.
So is grape.
Grape is not natural. What are you talking?
I just broke it down for you.
Hold
Go ahead,
on.
Keith.
When I meet a woman and she make love to me and she love me, that's natural. Grape is not natural. What are you talking about?
natural.
Truth. It's natural to get bitten by snakes and get a snake bite, and now you have a bunch of venom in your veins coursing through your veins. That's totally natural. Are you going to deny having an anti-venom shot given to you so that you can survive that snake bite?
But what's also natural is trying to get an anti-venom, right? That's also natural.
How is that
So what are you
natural?
talking
How is that
about?
natural? That's
Yeah.
that's a man-made thing. That is not natural. Anti-venom is not natural.
Anti-venom doesn't just appear
Anti-venom-
from the animal's
anti-venom-
like hindside. It has to be produced in order for it to be effective and work.
Well, it takes one thing to cure another thing, whatever works, man.
We're talking about you using animals. Don't get distracted. Why are you using animals when you do not need to? Why aren't you living vegan?
Because I know a lot of vegans that are sick. They lose their teeth.
Okay,
they
so
lose
be
their
one of the
hair,
vegans that
they're
isn't sick.
unhealthy. No.
I have so much hair, my man. Look at all of this hair.
No, hold on.
I've been vegan 8 years.
Listen to me. Okay. Keep being
Vegan
vegan.
8 years.
That's your choice.
8 years. Look, I
I'm
got
also
full
against it
fingernails.
because I don't like the United Nations Agenda 21 trying to make everyone vegan and trying to ban meat.
Well, that's
That's
great,
what you
but
guys
you're
want.
forcing your wants onto
No,
animals.
it's more
You're
like you
literally
guys are trying to
forcing.
force us.
No. You're forcing knives into animals' throats. That's worse than me just telling you, "Hey, you're going against your own morals." Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
I was
Oh, I thought you
he's
had something
literally
to add.
he's literally just going down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole now, which is just going to be insane.
Yeah.
Not conspiracy.
It's literally
yeah.
conspiracy theory, dude.
Yeah, I just don't really care to deal with it either. I'm trying to. I was a little hot-headed to begin with, but I just don't really want to deal with disingenuous. I want to talk to people that agree animals feel pain. Let's talk about why it's not okay to use them. Okay, I'm gonna bring up. Oh my gosh, Nathan, I think you've been there a minute. I feel like we've spoken before. I'm not sure.
Hello.
Hey, Nathan. Are you over 18?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Have we spoken before?
No, I don't think
Okay.
I ever have.
Okay. Maybe I've just seen your name somewhere. Anyway, why aren't you
Probably.
vegan?
A number of reasons, allergy being one of them.
What
But even then,
allergy?
if I'm allergic to a lot of soy that goes into it. But even
Okay.
then, even if I wasn't
I was
allergic
vegan
to it,
the first 5 years of my vegan life. I didn't eat any soy because I was scared of it too.
oh no, I actually got a blood test for it as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I actually
You don't. My point is, you don't need to use soy.
Oh,
You can eat other things.
I wasn't aware of that. But is it, well,
Yeah.
not this whole soy thing. That was my whole thing. But even regardless, even if I wasn't, I would probably still be against it, mostly because humans are omnivores, and I believe that it's better to eat a healthy balance of plant and animal matter.
So being omnivorous just entails the capacity to be able to extract nutrients from plants or animal-based sources. It doesn't mean that you need to have like an exact 50-50 or 70-30 or 80-20 or any like exacting ratio. You can literally have it be 100-0 for either route. That's what being omnivorous means. It doesn't mean that you have to consume this varied diet of animal products and plant-based products. You can consume. That's like why you can technically get away with being. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone because there's all kinds of complications that I would say are going to come out of it. But you can technically be healthy on a carnivorous diet. It's just not very likely to be optimal. Whereas on a plant-based diet, not only can you do it, we also have the science backing it that it is completely optimal and you'll be healthy and thrive.
I guess that, I see your point. Even then, I would still disagree with it because there are benefits to eating both plant and animal matter. I think
The
eating
point
one
is, Nathan, the point is, it doesn't matter that we can live off both. He's just making the claim, he's describing to you what omnivore means. So the fact the fact that we can thrive completely on plants means that using animals is unnecessary right now. We don't need to use them at all.
Yeah, I do see your point, but
yeah. And I understand that information itself can feel overwhelming, and that's why I have these resources. Like, you want to go look at the science, nutrition facts. You want to talk to a professional, Challenge 22. You don't want to talk to a person, but you still have questions, ask ChatGPT, because it's a free resource, right? Cronometer. Type in the food that you want to eat. It'll break down the mineral and nutrient content all the way down to the little tiny micronutrients, so that you know exactly what you're getting. And so I understand that can feel overwhelming. The Challenge 22 is easy because, you know, they help you meal plan, so they do all that hard work for you. But, you know, there's resources for you in that department. It's just about, I'm here just to tell people to recognize the animals.
Yeah, I understand that, but I do want to get into the point that you said that using animals is unnecessary. There are a lot of things that humans do that is unnecessary.
All right, but do you need to?
No, I have no need to, because right now I'm focusing on growing food. Going to the grocery store is a bit expensive, so I'm trying to do that first before I do anything else.
Sure, I can understand that. Yeah, that's a good practice, growing your own food.
And then,
not everyone has access to that, but I'm glad that you have those options. Yeah.
And then
that's great.
Once I get that done, I'm gonna see if I can get, like, you know, chickens. I enjoy eggs. I'm an avid egg enjoyer.
Yeah, but so what makes it okay for you to enslave someone to take their period and eat it?
Well, the thing is that
because when you buy those chickens, you're literally paying for their brothers to be blended up alive.
No, you don't eat fertilized eggs.
No. You don't understand. The male chickens do not lay eggs. So at the hatchery, they go through picking out, this is a female, this is a male. The females go on a conveyor belt to go live in a barn for their whole life and just lay eggs. Whereas the males on their first day of life go on a conveyor belt into a grinder or a gas chamber where they get tied off in a bag. And by evolution, every female, you're going to have a male. That's just how it works out. And so for every female egg-laying hen, there was a male chick ground up alive. And if we don't even consider the male chicks, this hen, right? They've been genetically manipulated to overproduce their eggs. Their natural wild ancestor only had like 15 eggs out in the wild on one part of the year, not even every month. And now they lay eggs every other day. So the cruelty is literally in their body. So when you purchase chickens, they're going to produce more. So you're increasing the number of individuals that have to live in this cruel body for you just so you can have an egg.
I mean, what you're talking about is genetic engineering, and I do have a problem with genetic engineering as a whole.
It doesn't matter. You're talking about getting these chickens, right? If you're against that, why are you talking about getting chickens then?
Yeah, but I'm not exploiting them. I'm not making them do things that they don't want to do.
I just told you how you are exploiting them. You're literally asking someone who has mutated these creatures. You're saying, hey, I like the way you mutated that individual. Give me that individual. Make more of these individuals, in fact. And I'm going to keep this one around.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. That was sorry. I interrupted
I might
you.
interrupt
that was
you
my
too.
bad.
It's okay, Nathan. I'll interrupt you too. It's going to happen. I'm okay with people interrupting. I just don't care for disingenuous arguments. That's it.
Okay. What I was going to say is that time marches forward and there's no way to go back. If there was a way to go back, I would agree with you that we should have them be more natural. But because
Nathan, you don't need to buy the chickens.
Done,
you don't need to buy the chickens. If you don't buy the chickens, more chickens will not be bred into existence. Do you understand? So if you don't put the demand in, they won't make more. If you put the demand in, they make more. Okay. So moving forward, you can reduce how many individuals are forced into existence to be used by not participating in that market. And if you want to hasten the fact that these individuals are enslaved and you don't like that, talk to others about how it's immoral.
I mean, chickens also die every day due to old age as well,
So
and
do
more
humans.
chickens are being bred
So
to
do
replace
humans.
those numbers.
Humans also die. That doesn't mean that I can exploit humans.
Well, yeah, because you're essentially exploiting a sapient being. There's a difference between sentience and sapience.
So can I exploit mentally handicapped people that maybe aren't sapient, but they are sentient?
No, because they're incapable of doing anything.
I do want to interject for a moment too, just because of that last statement. Statistically speaking, the amount of chickens that die of old age every single year is effectively 0%.
Yeah.
Virtually no chickens are dying of old age in modern society. That just doesn't happen.
Like
Yeah, what
maybe
you're talking about
2
is factory
years.
farming. I'm against factory farming.
99% of chickens are factory farmed. 99%. And when you purchase chickens, you don't think those chickens came from a factory farm. They came from a hatchery. If they lay eggs every day or every other day, they came from a factory farm. Their genetics come from that.
Yeah, that's why I'm not gonna go. That's why I'm not gonna go look for that. I'm gonna look for free range.
It doesn't matter if it was a factory farm or not. So like going back to her original point. So the wild jungle fowl is what the modern day chicken comes from. We started domesticating this animal about like 7,000 to 10,000 years ago. In the course of that period of time, from about 7,000 to 10,000 years ago until up into the 1900s. By the 1900s, we took them from laying on average about 12 to 15 eggs in the spring months to now by the 1900s laying about 120 per year. And then from the 1900s to today, it's gone from about 120 to anywhere between 250 to 300 for factory farmed chickens. And then for pasture raised chickens, it's 200 to 250. So it doesn't matter if they're pasture raised or factory farm. They're all producing far more eggs than they ever naturally should have ever produced at any point in time. We have Frankenstein the ever-living shit out of them. They are not naturally where they should be right now. In fact, the most ethical thing you can do to help a chicken would be ideally, to give them, there's a small hormone injection you can give them that effectively stops or reduces their egg production greatly. Or 2, if you can't do that, feeding their eggs back to them to replenish the nutrients that are lost from them producing this extreme amount of eggs. The damage to their ovaries and their colicula, where these eggs come from, is extensive because of how just constant it is. Like, imagine, if we had, if you will, for a moment, imagine if we had done somehow this to, humans, like human women, and from 10,000 years ago to today, they went from having, 12 periods per year to suddenly 120 periods per year over the course of 10,000 years. That would be insane alone. And then from there, in the next 100 years after that, we took it from 120 to nearly 300. Like, this is insane. It is not natural. It is not good for their bodies. We are exploiting them ad nauseum for no reason. It's for a simple taste pleasure that you will forget about in no time flat. And I'll prove it right now. What did you have for lunch on what did you have for lunch on November 12th?
November 12th? Actually,
if you have to go check a diary to tell me, then I've proved my point. I've proved my point. You can come back now.
Yeah, Nathan, you can come back. Okay.
I don't actually want to know what you had for lunch on the 12th of November. I was trying to prove a point of how fleeting that taste pleasure is. If it was actually this miraculous, amazing thing, the greatest moment of your life that you will never forget, then you just remember, you just know. It's not something that's important. It's not imperative. You can get all the nutrients that you need outside of eggs and animal products, and not have to participate in this entire modality of exploitation.
You're right. I don't need to do that. But here's the thing too that you need to realize is that what happens is that like a lot of eggs are wasted, and that's a shame. And oftentimes they're literally just thrown out, tossed out.
Nathan, they shouldn't exist. Nathan, they just shouldn't exist. It doesn't matter that they go to waste. It doesn't matter. If anything, it needs to be stopped. If you keep purchasing it, they're going to keep wasting resources even on this. Okay, if you stop, that's the best way to tell a producer, I don't like your product.
So would it be moral to just kill all the chickens that have been essentially quote Frankensteined, so that way their suffering could end?
No, I think they should go on a sanctuary. I think that we should redistribute our funds that go towards fattening these animals and turn them towards caring for them for the rest of their life. And then in 25 years, we won't have any more. Just don't let them procreate and we'll be good.
Yeah, don't let them procreate. Eventually, they'll end up going extinct.
That's okay. That's okay.
So why not?
Nathan, they're already extinct. Again, they come from the wild jungle fowl.
It's true.
The animal that they are meant to be is that animal. It is already extinct.
Okay, but you're talking about
the only animal we
now.
can really point to that has a modern day farmed version is the sheep. So the sheep come from the wild mufflon. We do have wild mufflons today, and these are animals that are devoid of the problem that we see with modern day sheep, where their coats grow excessively because of human intervention, forcing their coats to grow so extensively. The wild mufflon that we see out in the wild, totally fine, doesn't have that horrible problem because we didn't step in and fuck it up. That would be the point with all these animals. We have already stepped in and fucked them up. We don't need to just allow this to get more and more and more fucked up. Again, we have Frankenstein these animals ad nauseum. It has gone too far.
Okay, so then wouldn't it be more ethical to just make them extinct as to remove all of their suffering? Because if there's no animals to suffer, then then there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, they already also exist in numbers far beyond where they should ever have the capacity to because of us. So these, because it sounds really bad because we're talking about a huge number of animals. But when you talk about the amount that would have existed in the wild in their natural state, it would have been far, 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 far less. So we're talking about, 92 billion land animals are exploited every single year for consumption. And then when we analyze that from total biomass from every other this is just for mammals, poultry, it makes it even worse. But if we're just talking about mammals, the mammalian biomass on planet Earth, 36% is humans, 60% is livestock, and only 4% is wild mammals. And it's similar numbers for the avian side, when we're looking at turkeys and chickens versus all other wild birds. I think it's about 70-30. Not as bad, but still really bad. So the whole point would be that we don't need to, again, look at this as we're allowing all these animals to, they're going to go extinct and there's so many of them. Yes, there's so many of them because we forcibly bred them into existence, again, ad nauseum. It's again gone too far. We don't need to perpetuate the cycle into infinity. It's not necessary.
I mean, even if everybody in the world did go vegan, wouldn't overpopulation exist? Because, there are measures that animals have in order to ensure their population survives. For example, deer, eventually they'll end up overpopulating and it'll be too much for the wolves to handle. And since man has evolved with their intelligence to create tools,
this is a misunderstanding of
them.
This is a bit of a misunderstanding too of what veganism is. So veganism again is the moral understanding that animals are sentient beings worthy of moral consideration, and where we can practically and possibly avoid their exploitation, we should be doing so. In a situation of dire constraints where an animal is overpopulated, invasive, whatever, and it's causing mass destruction, which, to point out for a moment, the biggest and worst invasive species on this planet currently is farmed animals. But I digress. If this was to be a problem that somehow became even worse than animal agriculture is right now for the environment, which I very much doubt would actually take place, but if that did become the case, we would be, first of all, exploring all the non-violent routes we can take. So contraceptives, land use change, redistribution of the animal to take them somewhere else where they would be less of a problem, et cetera, et cetera. There's all different routes we can take without immediately going to violence. If for some reason we're guys, we're being overrun, there's nothing we can do, this animal's everywhere, we're just doomed unless we start taking their lives, yeah, you could start exploring harm at a certain point, but not as like the first measure, and it likely wouldn't ever come to the point of being necessary in a fully vegan world because of what we have as options to still control populations.
Okay. Harper, get away from that. You're gonna hurt yourself. Go away. Go. Okay. Sorry. The cat was getting too close to a power cable.
You're good. Yeah, like I just want to reiterate again, so really understand that biggest point. So because those are key words as far as practical and possible. Like that is our biggest goal when it comes to managing our interactions with animals. So where we can avoid the exploitation of animals, where it's practical and possible for us to do so, we should be doing that. And for the vast majority of us, that's very simple to do in our everyday lives. You can constitute people that may or may not need to do some level of animal exploitation, and hopefully they would find routes in which they can eliminate that entirely over time. But we shouldn't be looking at it as like a first route.
Okay. Now, I do have a question for you because you did talk about antivenom with that one other guy. You know how antivenom is produced, right?
Yeah, it's not always fully vegan, unfortunately. Antivenom, yeah, of course, first of all, involves the exploitation of the snake by having to, like milk their fangs, and then we, I believe, run it through the blood of an animal. I believe a horse is the most common.
Yes.
But there's other routes that are actually being explored and utilized now that are routes that avoid this because they're analyzing the proteins to be able to produce, and they want to be able to do this because producing antivenom currently is painstaking, takes a long time. You have to find the specific creature that produces the venom that you want to produce the antivenom for. So we're already working on routes to explore doing it without exploiting the animals directly. And again, this comes back to the whole topic of as far as practical and possible. It's not a practical stance to be like, hey, people get bit by snakes all the time. And we have the knowledge on how to cure such situations. It does involve some level of like harm and exploitation, but it's kind of like weighing the utility of that situation, whereas all these other things that we're talking about are just about direct exploitation where there's no gray area really going on. This is one of those areas where you can draw up some level of personal justification. But yeah, we obviously shouldn't just be, setting our tools down and being like, yep, we made the perfect answer to this. We should still absolutely be exploring how to perfect doing it without the use of animals to make that antivenom.
So it's more of an argument of optimization because it's a long process to milk the snake, then isolate the proteins and then inject it into the animal. It's more optimization rather than anything. And I would argue it's more an argument of ethics rather than exploitation. Like solely exploitation, because there's a number of issues that go into it.
I think that we kind of got off track. I think that you had brought up almost like you thought a gotcha with the venom, that it's a medicine, for example, that requires animal input. And Keith was just trying to explain to you that they're working on a synthetic version because of whatever reason. It doesn't matter, but it would still be a vegan option, right? It'd be something that doesn't use the animal. So as a vegan, I would advocate for that process being done. I would push for it to be the solution to venom treatment,
I was just curious about his stance on it more than anything.
Oh, okay. So my personal stance on anti-venom is if you're going to die, take the medicine, but advocate for an alternative. Speak up. That's all we can do as consumers is say, I don't like this choice. I would like a better choice. I can't hear you if you step out, though.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I can appreciate that. There's like I said, I'm not completely against it. Like, I'm not completely
Mm-hmm.
against veganism, but I'm also not 100% for it. There's issues I see with both. It's the same thing with the idiots we have pushing the carnivore diet. There's an issue with that too, like a huge issue with that, because you're not getting all the nutrients that you need. So, like I said, a healthy balance of both.
I'm not telling you how to eat, though. I'm just telling you, eat what you want, eat what makes you happy, but don't use a sentient being.
Yeah,
Right.
I do have to interject because there's a very clear and strong difference between, yes, the people trying to promote the carnivore diet and people trying to promote plant-based diets. The carnivore diet has little to no scientific backing. It's basically completely anecdote-based dietary pattern. Whereas when we talk about plant-based diets, this is something that is backed by countless meta-analysis and systematic reviews. It's backed by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the largest body of registered dietitians and nutritionists on the planet. It's backed by the Academy of Britain, Britain's Dietary Association, the American Dietary Association, basically all modern dietary associations that have reviewed the literature surrounding plant-based diets agree that it is nutritionally adequate at all stages of the life cycle. You can entail, again, shortcomings for certain individuals in certain situations, but the vast majority of the population can absolutely be fully plant-based and thrive on that diet.
Whereas I just don't think this is just me personally, I just don't think it's healthy to rely just on one or the other. I think a healthy balance of both. I'm not saying a full 50-50 because there are some things that require more than one.
Is your thinking based in science or just your opinion? Because we have science that is saying you can thrive on a plant-based diet. And I have all those resources right here.
Yeah, there wouldn't be like registered dietitians promoting, like many registered dietitians promoting plant-based diets if it wasn't something that is backed by the research and science. Like if that was the case, there would be a bunch of dietitians losing their licenses left and right because other dietitians would find out about it. They'd be like, hey, this guy's promoting a plant-based diet to his patients. That's insane. And, they'd lose their minds about it.
License, yeah. Nathan, you're muted. I just muted you because you're Googling something. It was kind of hard to hear. You can unmute yourself, though. Nathan?
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry, I
No,
wasn't Googling
you're fine.
anything.
I
was
muted you.
looking up.
It's okay.
That's
fine. I was just letting you know that I muted you just because you were searching and I could hear the tapping. That was all.
Sorry, let me clear this up. I'm not searching up something. I'm looking at notes for a science test I have coming up. I was taking a bit of a break.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't looking at anything.
Well, whatever.
All right.
It was
I do
the
have to point
tapping.
out the hypocrisy right now, though, because we just again brought up all the science backing up being on a fully plant-based diet, and then you went off of like an opinion, and you're taking a test about science.
It's
shortly,
chemistry
it's a little
chemistry specifically.
Okay, it's just a little funny to me. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I can see the humor in that. I'm not gonna get all butthurt over it, But I don't know. It's a bit of both. I do think that I am a bit emotionally charged, which decreases the logic in my opinion. And I do,
I
and
can understand.
I'm not gonna.
So that's why I give you the resources so that you can go look it up yourself. Also, Dominion is a great documentary to watch. So I give you those resources as like a starting point to kind of like start the question of, is this right? Is there a better way to do it? And then you go down that bunny trail of looking up the evidence. What does sentience mean? Why is that important? Why do we not exploit humans that are of lower cognition or ability? Ask these questions and find the answers.
I would also argue it's a bit of a species issue.
I mean, that's just an arbitrary line because human is just the name that we've given ourselves. It means that we can't mate. It means we can't mate with another creature. But if we had, let's say, an alien species come in, Keith used a great example. Superman is on Earth, but he doesn't have his superpowers. He's just like one of us. Grows up, ends up having a child that's not mentally... It's like the same capability as a cow or a chicken. Is it okay to exploit Superman's child?
I mean, that hypothetical doesn't really make any sense, considering the
Why?
fact that wouldn't a hypothetical have to be within some realm of reality rather than something supernatural?
No,
Yeah,
it's a test of your logic.
Well, I mean, it is within the realm of like technical reality because Superman would just be an alien race, something that is hypothetically possible, and traveling through space to get here, something that is hypothetically possible. Appearing here and not just looking like the average Joe Schmo, whether it's through just their race happens to look like us or they have technology that allows him to mask and look just like us. Either way, it's possible. And then from there, he has children while he's on this planet. And on from there, those children have, mental deficiencies where they are similar in nature, like mentally, to that of like a lower intelligence animal on our planet. This wouldn't suddenly make it okay to now exploit his children just because they lack this mental fortitude that he had, and just because they're not Homo sapien, that would be crazy, and it sounds crazy to us just because they look just like us. And that's a crazy standard to hold of, I only treat people or I only treat other beings with kindness and respect if they look just like me.
Technically, wouldn't he take advantage of us considering he's the more powerful being?
No, so that was part of the hypothetical. I mean, other than coming here from space, but this Superman is just like a regular Joe Schmo. He's not Superman. He's Clark
Yeah, I just want
Kent.
to point out, Superman was a baby and was sent in a capsule from one planet to another. So he didn't have anything to do with that technology. He was just transported in it.
Yeah, he just appeared here.
I mean,
I'll
I would
make
feel
it
bad.
easier, Nate. Yeah,
I mean,
here's another example.
I would feel
If you
bad,
saw
but
someone,
I mean,
if you saw someone walking down the street and they started kicking their dog, this is another species, right? Dog is not human. Is that moral?
well, it depends. Did the dog end up doing something that it wasn't supposed to, or was it just existing? Just
It was just
or was it just
walking with
existing?
them. It was walking
Yeah, no.
with
See,
them.
then that's unjustified. It's a borderline abuse. It's the same thing. It's the same argument
So
between
why is that wrong?
between abuse
But
and discipline.
why is that wrong? But why is that wrong?
Because the dog wasn't doing anything.
But why? Why does it matter? Why does it matter what I do to that dog? They're lower than us. They're not human.
The answer is quite simple. The dog wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
Therefore,
but why
there's no
does
need
it?
to
Okay,
punish
I
it.
kick a tree. I kick a tree because I'm angry. Is that the same thing as kicking a dog?
No,
Right. And why?
the tree's a lot stronger than a dog. It's more durable.
kick a
Why
flower.
do you think?
I kick a flower. Is that the same as kicking a dog?
No, the flower's a
Why?
lot weaker than the dog.
So it's more immoral to kick the flower?
She's trying to
No,
ask
it's a
you
moral
what
to
is
kick
the
both.
morally relevant difference that makes it okay to kick a tree or a bush, but not okay to kick a dog?
Well, the answer is that a dog can actually show pain and suffering. They can't vocalize it like we can because
got
they
it.
lack.
You got it. They feel
Well,
pain.
they can vocalize it. They can yelp and scream and whatnot.
And
They
they'll-
may not.
they'll shy
they can't
away.
speak.
They'll-
They can't speak English, but
They'll
they can.
avoid it if they can.
Yeah, that's because they're sentient. There's a difference between sentience and sapience.
They're sentient, right? So the
Yeah, there's a-
animals that
yeah,
we
not
use in other
sapient.
aspects are sentient too. It doesn't matter if they're sapient. Sentience is a matter of just experiencing the world and making preferences on those experiences. I like that experience. I don't like that experience. I like feeling comfortable. I don't like feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'll maybe do like a quick Richter test scale with you. So like on a scale of 0 to 10, how bad is it taking the life of a human for no reason?
Oh, for no reason, there's no justification for it.
Yeah. On a Richter scale, 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, what is it?
Oh, that'd be a 10 because, like I said, there's no reason for it.
Right. And then going up to a human, and again, for no reason, kicking them in their shin as hard as you can, or maybe just, not as hard as you can, but like a solid kick to their shin. What's that on the Richter scale?
A 10 if there's no reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can be okay with that tracking. So now on this the other scale, so I have a dog and I, kick that dog. What is that on a Richter scale?
A 10 if there's no reason for it.
Right. And then now I take the life of that dog so I can consume it. I didn't need to consume it for nutrients. I'm doing it for a taste pleasure. What is the scale now?
A 10 because there's no reason to do it. Because you set up the thing itself. There's like, you're not doing it because you need to. You're doing it because you want to.
Exactly. And that would be what... that's what we're talking about when it comes to animal agriculture. We're doing it not because we need to, but because we want to. So all these cows, all these chickens, all these pigs, all these goats, all these sheep, they are all 10 out of 10s. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. It's causing unjust harm for a fleeting taste pleasure.
Gonna go look something up? Or is it the science test?
Maybe that.
Nathan, I'll give you another second to come back, but I don't really want to be on pause.
Sorry. Wait, is my mic not working? I've been having issues. I've been having issues with this setup all day.
If you leave the app, it does pause you. Like, I can't hear what you're saying.
No, I'm not leaving the app. I've been having issues with my computer all day today. I've been trying to fix it.
You're on the live via your computer?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I guess you can ask for permission. And if you don't have any warnings against your account, I think they might give you the option sometimes. But
you have to have like 10,000 followers, and he has
that's what I thought.
Like he has like 100.
Before I had 10 grand,
just...
I did see something that said you can ask them permission, but that is weird that you're on your computer on the live. That is not common.
Unless you're like running you can definitely force applications from your phone onto your computer.
So that's true.
Maybe that's all I can think of. But
well, Nathan, I'll let you go then if you're having technical difficulties, but you should
probably
go
be for
watch.
the best.
Okay, go watch Dominion. If you can, take a screenshot. That way you just have access. You can find these resources if you choose. Dominion, though, is a great place to start just because it gives you the why, and then this is the how up here.
Can you spell that for me so I can write it down?
Oh, if you take a screenshot, it's right here. It says Dominion. The name is right there. D-O-M. Oh, D-O-M.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. D-O-M-I-N.
D-O-M-I-N.
I-O-N.
Oh, I-O-N. Sorry, you cut it
off.
off.
No. You had it right. It was. So it's D-O-M. I-N.
I-N.
And then I-O-N after that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's free on YouTube.
It's you'll see it comes up with like a picture of a cow when it's about like 2 hours long. But
maybe put 2018 next to it, because I know there was another movie that came out called Dominion, and I just don't want you to find the wrong one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask the year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
2018.
And I just say watch, bare minimum watch at least 30 minutes of it intently. You could decide if you want to keep watching more from there, but yeah, at least get through 30 minutes of it and see how you feel at that point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Well, did you get the screenshot?
Yeah, I got the screenshot.
Okay, cool. All right, well then I'll let you go for now, Nathan. But after you watch that, please come back. I would love to talk to you. Or even just message me, whatever. I'd just love to hear about, if you have a change of heart, or even if you don't, I'd love to hear.
It'd probably be easier for me to just follow than anything. I'm going to do that right now.
That's great. Awesome. And then if you have any questions, or, you want to know more, or if you want to tell me something, please reach out to me.
Yeah. One thing I appreciate, let me just say this right now, compared to a lot of others, you're willing to actually listen. Compared to everyone else,
I do appreciate that.
You're one of the very few that I've seen that I've actually seen make an effort to listen to an argument and then like acknowledge that argument and then come in with an argument of your own. And I think you're one of the very few that can do that, because everyone that I've seen has been, pardon my French, an insufferable asshole.
Yeah. We
I mean, go ahead, Keith.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think a lot of us do our best here to steel man, not straw man arguments.
Yes,
we
that's
want to build.
something I can appreciate, even from people that I disagree with. If you're able to do that and not straw man, then you've earned my respect, which you too certainly have.
Yeah, there's certainly people that can have like I don't know, trouble handling certain situations, and that's.
I'm one of them. I'll be honest, Nathan. You and I, we did have this great conversation. I don't know if you're here earlier. I was kicking people because I didn't want to hear the plants were sentient. So I do have my moments when I don't want to hear arguments, only because I've heard them so many times. And if I point out the flaw in the argument and the person continues, I just don't even want to deal with that, at least today. So there are moments when I will kick people. So I'll be honest, I'm a flawed human. But if I have someone who's genuine, right. But if I have someone like you that's genuinely asking questions, or, you know, like you just seem more genuine, I will absolutely answer any questions, and I will try to be as patient as possible.
Yeah, I try to, especially now, because I'm seeing the insanity that people have. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go down this path. Maybe I should, dial it back a bit and go another route.
Yeah. Or, you know, like just take a second to take in the information to weigh out what's right and wrong to you, and why is it right and wrong. Because that's what I had to do. I had to ask myself these questions, and then I had to go searching for things. I just, you know, I feel like you got to create that curiosity, and part of it is first stepping back from what you see as everyone else is doing, what's normal, right? Like, why is this normal?
Like, because there's a lot of argumentative people, and, you know, it's tiring to see. You know, when I see a debate, I want to see, you know, actual information being thrown out. I want to hear their argument. It's the same thing with politics, you know. You want to hear what they have to say based on policy, not off of emotion.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same with like debates when it comes to whole vegan versus not vegan. I want to hear, you know, your points, and I want to, you know, hear your reasoning for it. I want you to see you bring stuff up. I don't want to hear, you know, information that isn't necessary, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I basically, if I could sum it up, it's sentience. That's all that matters. If someone's sentient, don't exploit them.
Yeah. I can. Yeah.
If you need to survive, it's understandable, but I would still call it immoral, but it's understandable because you're surviving. But you know, if you can weigh out what's right and wrong, you know, I personally think that humans should be always looking at their mistakes and trying to improve. You know, we shouldn't. I feel that it's immoral to know that you're doing something wrong and to keep doing it.
Yeah, and it's another thing too, like when you agree with the general points being made about, you know, animals are sentient, we should reduce our exploitation of animals where we practically and possibly can. Like if you align with that general basic principle, like then the thing you should do is like at least the most basic level is like, yeah, like use the resources that she gave there, like, you know, try out like watching through the documentary, check out some of those other resources, and then like the biggest one I would say is like try challenge 22. Like you don't have to look at it as like lifetime commitment. It's literally just a 3-week challenge to try being fully plant-based, because the why it's called that is because on basic psychology, it takes about 3 weeks of actual mindfulness engaging with something to make a change or break a habit. So the idea is that by the 22nd day of being involved with this challenge, you know, with mentorship and meal plans and recipe ideas and grocery lists and the whole 9 yards, the idea is that you'd get through that and be like, yeah, this isn't so hard. I could keep doing this. You know, because so many people have the dietary aspect is the biggest thing that they have locked up. A lot of people will be like, yeah, I could probably avoid cruelty-free, or I could probably take in cruelty-free like soaps and cosmetics pretty easily. I could probably avoid not wearing fur. I could probably like stop going to SeaWorld. These things are like every now and then things, but dietary stuff is, you know, 3 times a day, 365 days a year. So bypassing that can be difficult and challenging for people because they're so bound to it. But after trying a challenge like that, the idea is that, okay, I got through this. That wasn't so bad. All the other things are obviously not that bad. I can do this. So that's all I would really point you into the direction of, on top of watching the documentary and the other stuff.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it once I get time. This next 2 weeks are going to be a bit tough.
Yes, I understand. You're muted, by the way, vegan.
I tried to do it because I know my partner's typing, so I'm trying to be courteous.
Yeah.
He's just working, but I just try to be courteous, and I keep forgetting I do it. But I wanted to say the benefit of Challenge 22 is just that they're holding your hand right through that scary bit of I don't know how to eat, because most people don't know how to get proper nutrition in general. So they just know to eat the things that they're habitually been taught to eat. So I can understand that overwhelming feeling, and that's what I love about Challenge 22 is that it's a free resource to an actual professional on how to eat.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into the resources. Like I said, next 2 weeks are going to be a bit tough, so I need to put everything I can into...
Well, just know that beans and rice are cheap and easy, but I do hear you, yes.
All you can do right now, if you can't do it right away, is just go to challenge22.com and sign up, because it's not like you just immediately they get back to you after a couple of days or weeks, and even if you're not ready then, you could just respond to their email and be like, hey, I'm actually not ready for this round, can you hold off to the next one, and they'll get you the next month or the month, whenever you want to start is what they'll work with you on. So So don't put it off signing up. Just go put your name in.
Right.
It's just name and email address. If you can ignore the emails or respond to the emails, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
All right.
Just mainly think about the animals, because that's what it's about. And if I would, like I said, when you get a chance, it's only 30 minutes that you should at minimum, would be a sacrifice. I think it's worth it for them because it's their whole life. So 30 minutes of your time versus their whole life.
I think I'm the type of person that'll, like, when I try something, I'll, just finish it,
That's
at
fine.
once.
That's
so
fine
I'm probably
too.
just going to do that.
That's fine. But I just don't want you to overwhelm yourself thinking this is a huge task. It's more like to perk your curiosity. Like, I'm not going to test you on anything that you learned from it. It'll just strike you naturally, and that's it.
Even then, I'm probably going to watch it a few times to make sure, because let's be real, when we watch something once, we miss a lot of things, so we need to at least watch it maybe 2-3 times in order to get everything. So I'm making it a habit to do that.
Well, yeah, you just sign up for Challenge 22. Just do that after this, and then throw Dominion on your watch list on YouTube, and then that way you have both those things ready to go, and they're on your radar, if you will.
Yeah. So the reason, Nathan, that the only way you're going to have the motivation to do it, because I understand that you're standing on this precipice of possible change, and it's scary. Because even when I was first considering even just going vegetarian, that scared me, because I was like, oh my God, my cupboards are full of this, and I don't even know how to cook. And those don't even matter, it's about when you learn about what is happening, you actually don't care about the logistics, because you'll figure it out. You'll be motivated. You'll be like, oh my God, no, I need the alternatives. What can I do? You'll be hungry for them. That's why I was suggesting maybe figure out the why first. But he's not wrong that the Challenge 22 does it in groups. So it'll probably be a little while, because it's every month, and you go in a group, so you're with other people that are in the same boat as you. They're trying out veganism for the first time.
I mean, I've tried going vegan. Personally, I couldn't commit to it. Like I said, I'm not going to completely deny it like most people. I do think that there are benefits to it, but I don't see.
Well, the big thing too was, the first time you did it, I assume you weren't doing it for full scale morality behind it, right?
I was rather curious to see how well I did it for I think a year.
Yeah, so
this was a long time ago.
That would be more so defined as just going on a plant-based diet. The difference between the two is when you go vegan, you're doing that always for the moral reasoning behind it. It's I very much understand where and why people get confused between the two, because I was confused about it myself. When I initially started making these kinds of changes about like 8 years ago, I did it initially for health-based reasons. And despite this, I still called myself vegan. But retroactively, looking back at myself as me now, I would call, the first 8 month quote unquote vegan Keith was not vegan at all. He was just a plant-based dieter. Me making the connection around that 8 month mark because of being exposed to new information and things that I had not thought about in terms of the exploitation and use of animals, that is when I went actually vegan. So like that's the difference between, having the stance of why you go and make this change if it's just for a personal reason.
I get it now.
Or if it's for
I get
a
it now. It's
moral,
not
dedicated reason.
So it's not just, eating a plant-based diet, it's the information and I guess quote morality that makes you a vegan.
Yes.
That makes you a vegan.
Yes. Well,
Okay,
yeah. So
that makes a lot more sense.
It's because it revolves around more than just a diet. Like veganism is not a diet, because you could have extrapolated situations in which someone could label themselves as vegan, but they have necessitated I can't even say the word, needed things within their life that involve some amount of exploitation towards animals. While that's bad and not good for the animal, you're still, it's like a personal justification thing in that moment for the sake of your well-being. Not ideal again, and you should be working to eliminate that where you practically and possibly can. But that's like the difference between, being vegan and being just a plant-based dieter. One is flippant and one is a dedication.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It actually clears up a misconception that I had. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, it touches on like clothing, cosmetics, medicines where practical and possible, entertainment, etc.
Entertainment. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with the whole entertainment thing. I think.
Yeah, because it's
exploiting animals
unjust.
for entertainment is wrong. Like you go to like other countries, and, the whole thing with the monkey, and I believe there was a thing in Hawaii where they're basically drugging dolphins, or some other tropical island. I don't remember which.
I will go looking for that because I didn't know, but that's insane. It doesn't surprise me, but that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's wrong. I don't like exploiting animals for entertainment because I feel that that's wrong because you get the wrong person into that. The wrong person can end up going into that and they can do more harm than good. And who's to say that it'll stop at animals?
Yeah, so a couple of points you hit on there. Since we nutritionally don't need animal products, right? That means that we're just using them for taste pleasure, which is just another form of entertainment, right? You're just entertaining your taste buds. It's, enjoyment and that's it. And we don't need to. So that's the same thing as the entertainment. It's just unjust treatment. And then on top of that, you pointed out something else. Dang it. What was the other thing you had said? The exploitation. Well, it's just, God, I forgot my other point. There were two things you said.
I think I was saying like for like physical entertainment. I was probably what I was going with like, the whole thing with like circuses and shit.
Yeah. Oh, is the drugging of the dolphins. Oh no, you said if someone wasn't like someone terrible could get into that position and make it even worse, right? And do more damage.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was going to bring up is that we have these slaughterhouses that we employ vulnerable people in, and we make them take animals' lives day in and day out. And we recognize that when someone does that naturally out of enjoyment, that there's probably something different about them that needs to be addressed. Right? They could turn to humans. If we see children harming animals for fun, we're concerned. That's not healthy behavior. But yet we're hiring people to do that for 6 to 8 hours a day, 4 to 6 days a week. So and that causes those people, they actually have evidence of increased alcohol use, drug use, domestic abuse, crime around slaughterhouses usually goes up.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, I'm against slaughterhouses, but like I said before, like I'm not 100% against it. Like, it's the same thing with AI. Like, I'm against AI in most cases, but I do think that there's a use for it.
Are you against animal entertainment? Like, are you against using animals in entertainment 100%?
Yeah, that's why I don't go to SeaWorld. Like,
Okay.
I don't go to SeaWorld, I don't go to circuses. I just don't like the way the animals are being treated. I actually saw the way that they were being contained, and I didn't like that. I think I was 5 when I saw that, and I didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, it's the same for the farm animals. It's literally the same. And we're doing it to them for the same reasons. It's just that your taste pleasure is the entertainment.
I've been on a farm before, like several different farms. There's one that I saw that was they were not factory farms. I can't bring myself to go near one.
Yeah, well, I
one
mean,
of them was
so
one
the
of them
thing
was a farm where you could see where the animals are kept, and a lot of them are in really cramped conditions, despite being like quote free range, versus an actual free range farm. I saw that, and I liked that a lot more. There were no cages, no like no barns, no nothing. They were literally just all out there, just minding their own business.
So the thing is, all those animals get their life taken from them before their time. They don't die naturally. Even if they did, let's say this farm only used these chickens that laid eggs for them, right? There's still a couple of problems in that they purchased these chickens from somewhere. They've genetically manipulated these individuals to overproduce things for them. And that causes issues for that individual as well. And they're exploiting this individual, forcing my purpose onto this individual for entertainment of my taste buds. I mean, it's the same thing of if it was a human, right? I'm just arguing that this is a sentient being that deserves to continue experiencing the world and making preferences and having their own purpose and not having me force that on them. Just like it would be for a human to do that to a human. It would be immoral for me to force my purpose onto a human, even if they're not aware of me doing it. Their cognition is low. Well, I gave you a lot to digest there, Nathan. That's okay. I do encourage you to watch Dominion, though, because you'll see how even free range, grass fed are all taken care of and unalived, unfortunately. But you see the standard practices. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the best of the best, too. That's why I was saying going down this rabbit trail of, is there a right way to exploit someone? There's other documentaries that, like there's one called Cow that follows a dairy cow on I would call the most humane farm, but it's still irony because she loses her life. You know, she's still a resource. Doesn't matter that she was treated nicely. She had everything robbed from her too soon. Cows can live to be 20 to 25 years old. And dairy cows are often unalived after maybe 4 to 6 years.
In fact, the longest living cow lived to be, it was either 48 or 49 years old.
Which is crazy. That's such an old cow, 40. Whew.
Definitely up there, but yeah, they can fairly easily live into their 30s. So.
Oh, okay. Last time I looked, I thought it said 25, so.
Well, that number is actually impacted because of the rates of slaughter.
Sure, I didn't actually dig into that number. Good point.
So because if you just look at their natural lifespan when they're well taken care of and not exploited and have all these health impacts brought upon them, then it's they can easily live into their 30s fairly often.
That makes it even more heart-wrenching.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're unalived at 4 to 6 years old, and that's after having up to 4 to 6 babies stolen from them, just so they produce milk.
Yeah, that's not right. Don't separate the mother from
so
their
they
child.
have to, otherwise they're going to lose profit. There's no reason to have these animals other than to have a profit. That's what most farms are. They're not just sustaining themselves. There are some that do that, but it's very rare. And even in those cases, they're still exploiting someone. Specifically, a dairy cow has to be penetrated either by a bull or a human to become pregnant. And that's how they get milk. That's the only way.
Yeah. I think it's a weird process.
It's very weird.
Personally.
It's very weird. I don't disagree. It's very weird. When you realize what we're doing, you're like, why are we doing this? It's
My
disgusting.
perception is who thought of it.
Yeah, I mean,
right. I mean,
if you
people that
think
were
about
in a desperate Go ahead, Keith.
I was just gonna, yeah. If you think about the level of again of like, I use this word often. Like we have Frankenstein the ever living shit out of these animals. Like the fact is, the turkeys that we're about to eat 47 million of in the United States alone in this next week. These are animals that can't even, the ones that are at least raised within, farms. These are animals that can't even mate with one another. We have selectively bred them to the point where their breast meat and just their bodies are too big to even procreate with one another. They have to be artificially inseminated to even exist in the first place. So people will be like, what do we do with the animals when, we stop farming them if the world goes vegan? It's like, well, a bunch of them won't even be able to mate to produce more in the first place. They'll just dwindle out forcibly over time because they can't even make more if they wanted to.
I think there was also a thing that I remember seeing where they bred, I forget which chicken it was. They basically bred them to where they grow, or they feed them hormones and they grow way too quick, and their muscles aren't grown in proportion to one another, and they basically can't walk for very long periods of time without falling over or being in pain. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I made that up.
Yeah, no, it's extremely birds' bones are hollow. Remember. Birds' bones are very brittle and hollow, so when we are forcing their bodies to produce meat at extreme rates, it means that the longer that they live, the actually higher prevalence that they have for having bone breaks. Bone breaks are extremely common in the broiler chicken industry, and that's why. So here's another fun one for you. What age do we averagely kill every single chicken, every single broiler chicken? How long do they live?
That I don't know, but let me finish my thought before I lose it.
Real quick, it's 6 weeks. They get to live for 6 weeks, a month and a half, and then we take their life.
Wow, that's a short, sad life.
Very.
This thing. Oh, right. Yes, this goes back to my argument with genetic engineering and selective breeding. It's the same thing that you see with certain breeds of dog. Like if you look at old bulldog skeletons, you could actually see that they have a snout and that they're not and that they're basically they were actually able to breathe and not suffer any respiratory issues. Yes. And now what do they have there? Same thing with the French bulldog. It's the whole thing with genetic engineering that it baffles my mind. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yep, we've done it with all kinds of other dogs as well. Like German Shepherds have high prevalence for hip dysplasia. Golden Retrievers have extremely high prevalence for cancer. There's all kinds of things that we've just completely messed up because we decided to intervene, and we intervened way too much.
Yes, there's a boundary was definitely crossed, which is why I'm against a lot of things that are in clear definition, clear defiance of being natural.
Yeah.
But it's to the point where we can't go back, so it's hard for me. I guess it's hard for me to. I don't want to say be in favor or be against. I'm stuck in the middle because you can't go back. In a perfect world, I would be able to go back and change everything, but I can't.
Right, you can't change it, but you can change your future choices.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about, do you want to exacerbate the problem and worsen? Because these bodily issues that we see with all these animals that we've exploited this way, it's not like it's just gonna get better. It's the only direction it can go in is to be worse. And not only is it worsening it for them, it's also worsening it from the stance of disease for virtually every other animal on this planet, as well as us. We have zoonotic diseases, 2 out of as well as us. We have zoonotic diseases, 2 out of every 3 emerging infectious diseases that come out of this planet now are from zoonotic sources, and primarily from the animals that we directly exploit. So when we're worried about what should we do? I mean, even if you don't care about the Frankensteining and all these horrible things that we're doing, you should at least care about the fact that we're going to decimate our environment. We're going to decimate several species of animals because of land use change and the destruction of the environment. We're going to lead to countless new diseases that affect both humans and other animals. All these things, like even if you, for some crazy reason, didn't care about the animals themselves, which you should still care about these other things that still directly even affect just you. But it's a little bit beside the point, but it's just crazy to hold on to all these things and then knowing all the additional damage that it causes and then just still shrugging your shoulders and just being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go, Nathan. I actually am going to end up in my live. I'm sorry to everyone that was waiting in line. I think I just saw Lori come up to you. I'm sorry, Lori.
I probably took up too much time. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I
You had
enjoy
genuine
conversations like this.
I'll say I enjoy talking to people that are genuine because the audience is still listening and a lot of them have the same questions as you. So, you know, I can actually have a dialogue with someone who's genuinely curious and being honest with their questions. And I will entertain all questions from an honest person.
Yeah, it's something that a skill that I think a lot of people don't have because they don't want to admit that they're wrong, or they don't want to change their way of thinking, or they're just making what's the word I'm looking for? They're intellectual dishonesty, like they're being intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, I use disingenuous probably too much. It's just it's my word I turn to. But yeah, they're just not being honest. They're being dishonest. So, yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, I appreciate. Thank you, Keith, for coming up and having my back and standing up for the animals, and also all the vegans in the chat. There's tons of you. Lydia was up here for a minute. I appreciate all you guys being here. So yeah, Nathan, I know you gave me a follow. Check out that documentary, and I'll see you guys. You guys all have a great vegan day.
Yep, you as well.
Mm-hmm.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.